Whoa, what's going on, people? Welcome. We're a little early today. We have a good show. We're going to have FKC Legal to talk about the whole purchase process. We're going to have an opportunity for you guys to ask your legal questions. If you guys didn't know, FKC Legal is my preferred legal partner in Kenya. And Franklin and Abdi are going to be coming on to answer all of your questions, and we're going to go through the buying process and all of the aspects thereof. And since we've been partnered for a month and a half, they've worked with some of you guys and have a list of a couple things that they see that are commonly coming up on the legal side and we've been seeing. So we want to give some best practices and information to help guide you guys along. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Ryan Fagan. I'm a real estate broker here in South Jersey in the U.S. I'm also a real estate investor in the U.S. and now a little bit in Kenya. I have two properties, one in Lavington, one in Kilimani, with a couple more booked in Westlands. I've been in the real estate industry my whole adult life. I'm also an Army veteran, 15-month deployment to Iraq. I'm also a little bit into our local politics here in New Jersey, and a whole bunch of other things. You know, if you research or go on the website, on my website, ryan-fagan.com, you'll see that. Franklin, I see you. I'm going to bring you guys up in a little bit. I just have a little bit of an agenda that I want to bring up first, and then we'll get to that. Members always get priority, so member questions always are going to get priority. If you're not a member, you could still ask your question. It's just that members are going to get priority here because we want to give value to members. We do have the membership that starts at $5 a month, which most of that is 30-day free or early access to the videos because I will be back in Kenya and I'll be reviewing different projects, and you get early access to those things. Whoa, these numbers are crazy. 192. Are those bots? What's going on? Anyway, couple things I do want to talk about here, and then we're going to get into having FKC Legal on. Actually, some of these things are from member comments on prior videos that I wanted to talk about. First is just a current event that I thought was interesting. The Kenyan president was in the U.S. and they struck a deal, which is funny because if you guys remember, the U.S. got rid of USAID, or U.S. aid. That was a lot of funding that was going to the continent of Africa, including Kenya, and that caused some stress and issues because certain projects got defunded. And it's pretty encouraging to see that that is being replaced by some new policy. And this is all going to kind of go together with some of the narratives that I wanted to address today. So with that being said, let me talk about this one. Oh, that's the wrong thing I got coming up here. That's the wrong one too. See, I got a lot of stuff going on. Oh, hold on. Where did it go? Oh man, I was starting off so good, and then see, now we're struggle streaming. Let me bring up the article. I have lots of articles for you guys real quick. Just want to give you guys the landscape and my perspective and thesis, because a lot of questions are coming in about oversaturation. Is there too much building? Is it even good to buy real estate in Kenya? And I'm not trying to influence people one way or another, but I do want to share my perspective and how I think about it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But first, this healthcare deal. So U.S. and Kenya signed first of what expected to be dozens of America First global health deals. So like I said, a lot of the funding from U.S. aid went away. And so they signed a 5-year, $2.5 billion agreement with Kenya on Thursday. William Ruto and Secretary of State Marco Rubio to replace a patchwork of previous health agreements that had traditionally been run by the U.S. Agency for International Development for decades until the Trump administration got rid of it. So This makes a lot of sense, right? Because they were giving money to all these NGOs, non government organizations, that were the ones that were supposed to distribute these things. And they all do lend to corruption and issues like that, right? So um, it's better for the Kenyan government to receive the aid directly than to these NGOs, I think. So I think this is a positive move. I don't know if you see this 2.5 billion number, but really I think that's just a reallocation of the funds to the Kenyan government. I don't know if it's more or less, but that's very encouraging to see. And overall, my position that I've found interesting is that the U.S. has been having weird policy with the continent, and Trump's been making some pretty bad comments about different countries and such. But Kenya has been always avoids a lot of that negativity. And if you watch Marco Rubio's speech about it, he was pretty positive about Kenya, saying that's why they wanted to make this first deal with Kenya. So I thought that was an interesting piece of information. And now pivoting, I do want to talk about um, there was a member comment from a newer member, and I thought it was interesting because they were asking about why I like the Diplomat project so much, and am I concerned because it's 800 units, although many of those are studios, um, for oversaturation because there's so many other buildings going on. And my thesis to this is that I think it's a valid question and concern, and especially if you're coming from the West where we don't see this level of development, you do have to realize that these countries are growing much faster. The population growth as a demographic is much, 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 much higher than the U.S. and most Western countries. Actually, like we're close to having like negative population um, over time, where we're not. What are we? What's the proper way? We're not replacing ourselves enough. So if couples are having less than 2 kids, then eventually our populations are going to be going down, right? So that's one thing. My other thesis is that the middle class is growing in Kenya. So I know it's not perfect and ideal because you do see people that are without, but it is growing, and there's a bunch of statistics that can back that information up. And even if you look with your own eye, you see a lot of foreign business and local businesses investing and developing. So we have an interesting article here. Um, this has to do with foreign investment. Over half of the foreign firms to invest 700,000 US dollars in Kenya as inflows peak. Skilled labor market access push investments to 6-year high of 20 billion. Almost 57% of foreign-owned enterprises in Kenya plan to reinvest or expand their operations over the next 3 years, committing at least 100 million, according to the latest foreign investment survey. Now, this is just a survey, so I mean, this is just what they're saying, but it does give a sentiment of what these companies want to do. Where is it? 14% of the enterprises plan to invest 1 billion. 29.1% plan to invest between 101. Basically, these different amounts. Why investors choose Kenya? 23% cited skilled labor as the top factor, which I think is true. Even just from my personal experience, and actually, like FKC Legal is coming on. When you go to their office, all these young lawyers and motivated people, and all these highly educated people with really advanced degrees. There's the Gen Zs and even the millennials. There's a lot of them out there who can do these higher level jobs in the local population, which I think is a really encouraging sign. So if you come and want to start a business, and like a tech business or something like that, you have the workforce. You don't have to import people from other places, which is good for Kenyans because now it's bringing in more jobs, more money. They're growing middle class, to my point. And you have the labor for your business. 17 each highlighted market access and ease of doing business. That's super important. And Kenya is a logistics hub. So I've always been saying that Kenya is strategically located in a really good position as a gateway into East Africa, Central Africa, and really the whole continent over time. I think um, Nairobi, even if you're just walking around, you just see it's a very international city, a lot of people doing business, lots of different kinds of people. And so it is a gateway. Um, the second article, Kenya's tech sector becomes top foreign direct investment destination, which again, that's what FKC Legal uh, does. And where was that stat? Foreign capital inflows into the tech sector rose 71%. And this just came out in December, this article, I believe. Um, but a 71% increase um, by $501 million, accounting for more than a quarter of total FDI. And the technology, and this is just technology, it overtook banking, manufacturing, and retail as the leading destination for foreign direct investment in 2024. The rise reflects strong investor appetite for Kenyan's digital economy. If you think about the landscape with M-Pesa and what Safaricom's doing, although they're getting purchased, which is interesting. I got to look at more of the details of that. I probably should have prepped that in this little presentation. So, and let's do one more, and then this will drive the nail home. Kenya signs $800 million deal with Chinese firm for a tire factory. And this is just like happening all the time. And so you're getting more employment, you're getting more investment, and this is really good because you're getting manufacturing on the continent, which is very much needed. And in Kenya, where the continent has all the natural resources, but they get exported overseas to make finished products. So to be able to have more factories, in country are going to be good pretty much for everybody. Obviously, the deals matter, and how that money recirculates in the country is super important. But overall, a positive sign. How does that relate to me liking Kenyan real estate, the diplomat, investing in general, and all these apartments? You look around when you're in Kenya or in Nairobi specifically, and you see 10, 12 different apartments, hundreds and hundreds of units getting built. Well, you're going to need, because of all this influx of business and money coming into the country, more people are coming in to do the investment, to do business. The tech sector is growing, as we just saw, by 70+%. These new factories are coming in. The UN is moving. So there's a giant influx of foreign investment and development, and not just foreign, it also is local. There's local companies doing things, right? So these people are going to need somewhere to stay, and most of them are going to be in Nairobi, which gives you access to those markets the easiest. Obviously, the coast is a whole different thing, but I think that the amount of growth, hopefully, I mean, again, the data is a little bit difficult to know, like how many people does this equate to, should satisfy the building demand. And if you guys watch some of the older videos, every person that I'm talking to is saying that in Westlands, especially, 1 and 2 bedrooms are in super high demand. You can't even keep them, they get booked immediately. And I'm talking about unfurnished. I'm not saying Airbnb. I think that's a whole separate thing. I'm a little skeptical of the short-term and mid-term stays, but a rising tide does lift all boats. So, I mean, if you have all this investment, you have business travel, all that kind of stuff, I do think that market's going to be okay, but I do think that has the biggest potential of having issues. Dang, we got 48,000 people, but I don't believe it because we don't have comments. So, um, dang, what's up with the numbers? I don't think that's right because 50,000 people in here almost. crazy. Anyway, I think that the development will match the demand, the supply and demand of what's being built, basically, because especially the smaller units are in quite high demand. And I think when you have business travel and such, people might be a year or 2 years on a certain contract. You got the UN, again, all these different people coming in, plus locals. If you're working in the tech sector and you're getting paid pretty well, you're going to be able to afford these type of apartments, and especially young people without families don't need a whole bunch of space. I think as you age out, you'll probably want to maybe get a home further away because it'll be more affordable. But for those, you know, young, motivated people, the highly educated people investing, I think um, the I wouldn't be buying if I thought it was oversaturated, is what I'm saying. So that's overall my thesis about that. That's my general perspective, which is kind of hard to answer in a comment. So I wanted to put this out there as kind of my thesis on why the apartment building, which seems like a lot, is not oversaturated in my mind. I don't think it's as risky as people perceive it to be. So, last thing, Kia from Traverse Culture has done a really big thing. And I've been, being on the internet and you don't really know people like that. And this whole YouTube space and everything is always kind of strange. And I'm always like cautious now of who, because some of them other characters that we let around were ended up being real weird. So, um, but Kia, I watch like the results of what people have going on, and Kia is one of the people that, from my observations, has done good things that are resulting in good things for people, and I always want to be part of that, recognize that, work with people that are doing good things. Like act like when I say good things, I don't. It has nothing to do with money. It has to do with like providing value to people and solving a problem. And Traverse Culture definitely is doing that. And then she's had such a amazing achievement recently of getting um, she just sent me this this morning, but I know that she's working now with the tourism board and the Kenyan government to do the journey back to Eden, which is going on soon, and just cooperating, from my understanding. And that is a really groundbreaking, amazing accomplishment that she was able to achieve, and that relationship I hope to see do very well. You can check out the announcement, which is about an hour long. And look, she's at the podium. They had some other officials there.
We did not just build a travel agency, we built a bridge, reconnecting the diaspora to Kenya. But before I get into the future, I must pay tribute to those who paved the way before me. I am not the first, I am not the last. I stand on shoulders of ancestors and those leaders who have carried this mission far before me. Groups like Still We Rise have strengthened ties between Kenya and
So
African Americans through
she
cultural
oh,
exchange.
she gave a really nice speech, which I'm going to check out later. And then you can see there's some other officials that were there, and she was recognized. And you guys should definitely check out the video. The largest diaspora movement East Africa has ever seen. I mean, imagine you come to another country and you develop this business and hire local Kenyan people, and you build this bridge, which is a word that's kind of like been in my mind as far as like what I'm trying to do is expose people to opportunities and have a safe bridge. I've talked to Franklin and Abdi about this quite a bit about, it's a bit perilous to try to do investments and such when you don't know the country, you don't know what's going on, you don't know who to work with. And so creating a safe bridge for people is so very important because there's so many talented people that probably would contribute and do more if they weren't afraid of the legitimate risks of not knowing what's going on when you come, right? And so I think these are some great works, and collaborating with the government is such a big legitimizing thing for her to do. So I'm super happy to see that. Check out the video, the largest diaspora movement East Africa has ever seen, on the Traverse Culture channel. A big fan of what they're doing, so I appreciate that. Now we're going to get to FKC Legal. Hopefully we don't have too much technical difficulties. I see Abdi in the back room. Where'd Franklin go? Did he drop off? Oh, man. And I see some of your guys' questions. A really good question from the legacy of Candace Roberts, which I kind of want the lawyers to answer, but let's get to it. Hopefully you have time hanging out. Okay, here we go. Oh no, my WhatsApp is gone. All right, let's get the technicals, and then we'll get to that first question. And we're going to talk about all things buying property. Boom. Okay, that looks better. What's going on, guys? You can unmute. Hopefully we don't have any technical issues today. I wanted to start a little bit early and give my little presentation. Abdi! Oh, we got echo. Ouch. Franklin, the world traveler. You're muted. You're muted.
Hi, Ryan.
What's going on, sir?
Quite well. How are you?
Well, not as good as you. You know, I want to go to Ghana and Rwanda and all these places. I haven't been there yet.
Trust me, it is not as good as you see on the movies.
It's not?
Yeah.
Why not?
There's a whole story to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, hold on. Ryan, for some reason I can hear myself. I can hear my echo. Is that on my side?
Yeah, I don't hear any echo. Do you guys hear echo?
Because whenever I speak, it speaks the same thing back to me.
Maybe you have your speakers playing the sound from the stream.
Could be.
Kevin,
okay, let me.
49,000 watching. I think it's bots. I don't think it's real. There's no way.
But 49,000 would be very good.
Safari said there is an echo. Why am I not hearing the echo?
Yes. There's an echo. I wonder where it's coming from.
Why don't I hear it?
I think there is still an echo. Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying it's an echo.
Abdi, can you hear my echo?
Oh, wait.
Yes, I can.
Mic check.
I can also hear echo on Abdi's side.
I don't hear it.
Abdi, just say something.
Does someone have YouTube on? Get off of YouTube. Sorry, guys.
Testing.
It's always the whole thing.
Yes, I can still hear it.
What?
Why?
Wait, does the audience hear an echo? I gotta work out the kinks on this stuff.
Try to turn off the YouTube channel.
I don't have it on.
I also don't have anything on.
Let me close this.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but there's also an echo on your side.
What about now? Same.
I hear Abdi's echo. Are you guys hearing me?
Yes, I can also hear echo on your side now, Ryan.
Really? I'm watching the YouTube on my phone.
Could it be?
Right now?
Yes.
Wow.
That's terrible.
Let's see.
Ryan, is
Let's
it
see.
possible that it
Now you
comes
can
and
hear
comes
me.
through your microphone?
Oh, I think I know what it is. Hold on. This is the problem with this fancy setup I have here is get these problems.
Let me try. Testing.
Yeah, I hear you echoing.
Yes, it's still there.
Mic check.
Now there's echo on your side, Ryan.
Now there is.
Yes.
Headphone speakers. I don't know. Mr. American said, I don't have
What
any
about
YouTube
now?
open.
Yes,
Same.
Abdi, there is still echo on your side.
Okay.
Hold on, let me have you guys go out and come back in.
Yeah, let me do that.
Sorry, guys, technical difficulties. We'll get it together. And I still want to get to Candace Legacy.
Testing.
Is that better?
Okay. I think. No, it's still there. Unfortunately,
it's still there. Oh no.
I think the problem is that I can hear myself on my device.
Do you have headphones?
Let me try with headphones.
Headphones usually are the.
Let me try it.
Because okay, guys, do you guys hear me when I'm just by myself as an echo? If I'm not echoing, then it's them. That's them doing something wrong. Believe it or not, way back in the day, when I was in the military, I was an IT person. Rarely got to do very much IT though. Definitely raked a lot of sand. Mowed a lot of lawns. Froze in Germany in the field. We our Iraq mission was we would have like a satellite trailer and a stack of like network and switches, and we would go to JSS sites, which are like Iraqi police stations with like 20, 30 people. And we would set up communications for them to do the reports. So we were out at like remote places with like 30 guys. I sound fine. So it's their fault. Okay, got you.
Let me try this time.
Is this better? Sorry, I hate when this happens. It kills the whole momentum.
I can still hear myself speak.
I hear you hearing yourself. Wait, but maybe it's Abdi. Wait, let me mute him. Okay, now do it.
Let me try.
I don't hear you echoing now.
Yeah. I can hear myself speak, but let me try join with a different device and see if it is better. Since I can literally hear everything.
I think you have a feed. You're looping back in with whatever you're doing. Sorry, guys. MH, where have you been? I was hoping you were going to be on the other Sunday when we did the Frank Zanu thing. Because, I don't know, you have an interesting perspective. So I was still wondering what you think about that whole episode. See, Abdi is definitely echoing. Sorry, guys. We'll get it together at some point. Okay. Let me take that one down.
Can you hear me, Ryan?
Yeah, I hear you. Are you echoing to you?
I can still hear myself speak. So I'm going to try one more thing.
I don't understand why it's doing that. Is it your mic or speaker settings?
What about my side?
On your screen share, where's the audio going? I'm hearing echo when Abdi comes in. I don't get it because if I play it straight from YouTube on my phone, which is not connected to my system, I don't hear any echoes. Yeah, I just hear me normal. Oh, I'm hearing something now. Oh my gosh. Hello.
Ryan, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I definitely hear an
Yes.
echo. Oh wait,
Yes, I have an echo.
that could be Franklin. That could be Abdi. Wait, now do it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. For whatever reason, I can still hear myself speak back, which is very weird.
Yeah. Are you using
Every
a
time I
webcam?
speak, it comes. I hear exactly what I'm saying.
Why is it? Can you mute? Oh no, you cannot. I was gonna say that your speaker settings are probably your mic is picking up your speakers.
Yes, I think so.
Are you
Because
using
it should
headphones?
be one way.
Are you using headphones? Let's try Abdi here. Abdi. Oh, I hear a big echo.
Ryan, could it be that when we speak, our voice comes back with your microphone? Can you hear me?
So.
Just try muting your. Okay, when you mute your microphone, I cannot. So I don't hear the echo. If you can hear me, just put a thumbs up, Ryan. Or
I think I know why.
Go back and mute. And then if you can hear me, just put your thumbs up, Ryan. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Good. So yeah, so I think it comes back with your microphone, and then it transmits
I'm
back.
looping.
Yes. Exactly.
How do I
Yes.
fix this? Hold on. I've been blaming everyone when it's been my fault.
Let me try mine as well. You can mute Ryan.
Now is it better?
Not yet, Ryan.
Wait. Now is it better?
Hi, Ryan. Testing.
Yes,
I think it is okay now. Is it okay, Abdi, on your side?
Oh, I muted him. Okay. Abdi.
What about my side?
Yeah, I think now it's okay.
I
think now.
How many people does it take to figure out the audio? Okay.
Yeah, hopefully just one Gen Z.
Guys, it was my fault. My mic input was going from my board over here,
Yes.
which then it's looping. So now my
Must happen.
mic input is just here. Okay. But now you guys can't hear our cool sounds. Okay. Anyway. Let's see. Are we good?
I hope we are all systems go now.
Oh, I hear an echo now from you. Or is it from Abdi?
Do you still hear the echo now?
No, I don't.
Ryan, do you hear any echo on my side?
Yeah, when you're talking, I hear yourself.
What about me?
I can't hear Abdi. But now there's no longer echo on your side, Ryan. It's gone.
But you're echoing to me. You changed something.
Yeah.
Ryan, is mine okay?
Let me do this.
You are good, Abdi.
Thank you.
I wanted to do this earlier, but I didn't want to be late, and I figured I would just start talking. But
Could it be the video?
So now I am sorted, but then the problem is on my side.
You cannot hear? You sound good now.
No, I can hear you quite well. Can you hear me well?
There's a little background, but it's not that bad.
Okay.
Oh no, I do hear me. Now, are you using headphones? Because that sounds like what's happening.
Okay, so I'm not using headphones. Let me try switching to my headphones.
Thanks, MH and JB, for standing by with our 47,000 fake live viewers. I didn't do it, guys. Wait, Franklin is not echoing, but we hear you. Why am I hearing an echo?
You hear yourself, Ryan?
I'm hearing you when I'm talking. That's coming from you. No, wait, it's coming from Abdi. Yeah, because I mute Abdi now. I don't hear it.
Okay.
Franklin is not echoing, but we hear you, Ryan. Yeah, but it's coming from Abdi. I see it. As I'm talking, Abdi, I'm seeing it. Do you have headphones?
No, I don't.
Oh. Echo cancellation.
Thank you so much, MH. Ekbo.
Yeah, see, we got to do headphones because your mic is picking up what you're hearing. There's not really a way to. I don't think it's me now because I see Abdi's mic levels going up while I'm talking, even though he's not saying anything.
And do you hear me well, Ryan, or is there an echo on my side?
Only from Abdi, right? So talk.
Okay. Testing.
Yeah, you sound fine. You sound low, but let me
okay.
I'll bring you up here.
Okay. Also, you sound very well, Ryan.
Abdi is now the culprit.
Very loud and clear.
We're putting Abdi in YouTube jail.
So let me mute so that you can sort out Abdi.
Well, if he doesn't have headphones, I don't think there's anything we can do.
Yeah.
We just have to leave Abdi muted until he's ready to say something. No, Mr. American, I don't have any other anything open. No, we're in StreamYard. Okay. We just got Abdi. You gotta signal to us when you're ready to talk because it's creating an echo, and now it's only coming from you for sure. Franklin, you could stay unmuted because you're not the culprit any longer. When I came up, we were fine. Wait, yeah. I'm hearing echo. Yes. Okay. All right, cool. No, we're good.
Are we good now?
Right. Yeah. All right.
Good. Brilliant.
Do you have video?
Yes, sorry. I have video.
Welcome.
There we go. Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself? But we got to talk about this guy being a world traveler. Are you? Can we hear a little bit about this trip? Because Franklin's in Ghana.
Yes. As a matter of fact, Ryan, I'm coming to you live from Ghana, Accra. It's a very beautiful city, but extremely hot. And it is interestingly one of the most expensive towns I have been, or one of the most expensive cities. Certainly, I think the most expensive city in Africa. It is really? quite something. Yeah. I'll give you an example. A packet of milk, like 1 liter of milk goes for about $5.
So like the
other day, wait for it. The other day I went to buy some potatoes, right? The usual Irish potatoes. 6 potatoes cost me $10.
What?
Can you imagine? Yeah.
I bought.
I mean, I can't understand. I bought carrots. 1 carrot cost me $1. Yes. It's absolutely crazy. Yes. So I went today to the mall looking at your gym equipment because I never like going to the gym. Your normal treadmill costs about almost $6,000, $7,000. yeah. I mean, the everything is just super expensive. So
So what
it's really, yeah.
can you give us some comparisons from
Yeah.
Kenya to Ghana?
So let me see. $10 in Kenya will, in terms of potatoes, will give me two huge sacks of potatoes. So like I'm talking about, the sack would be maybe half a meter wide by 1.5 meters tall. That would so two of those I would buy for $10. Here I'm buying 6, maybe at best 12 potatoes for that. In Kenya, I buy a liter of milk at maybe $1 maximum. One $1 of carrots in Kenya would get me carrots that would last me for like a whole week or even more. Here, $1 gives me 1 carrot, so it's quite something. In terms of real estate and investments, could you imagine, for example, that if you're renting a house here in Ghana or in Accra, you are required to pay 2 years
The
in
whole year.
advance.
Oh, 2 years.
Yes. 2 years. If you're lucky, you pay 1 year in advance. So it's could Franklin can explain why things are expensive there? Yes, I think from my discussions with people, Accra is beautiful. Yes, Accra is beautiful. I mean, because I'm being very kind, I don't want to be.
You don't want them to come
I'm
for
still
you?
here. Yeah, I'm still here, man. So yeah, it's beautiful. Obviously, Kenya is more beautiful. The problem with Accra is that it is extremely hot and humid, extremely humid. The other day I did laundry on my machine and then I spin the usual way. I put it out to dry. There was so much sun. The following day, the clothes were still cold. Like they were still wet because it's just very, very difficult for clothes to dry. There's a lot of sun, but there's a lot of humidity as well. The reason why things are expensive, I understand that there was a time that the dollar gained against the cedi. Cedi is their local currency, so it gained significantly against the cedi. So, for example, the cedi lost 50% of its value. So, what happened at that point is that because most of these things are imported, they then increase the prices of everything, especially household products. And then when the dollar lost its value, they did not reduce the prices. All the prices just remained exactly where they were. Yes. Yeah. So some things, I'll give you one last example, Ryan, that I just saw. I went to the mall to look at a pair of Crocs, the Crocs for kids. Not that I have a kid, but I was just thinking just in case.
Oh, just in case. Okay.
In case.
All right.
I think, how much was it? In Kenyan shillings, it cost about 5,000 shillings, which is about $35, $40. Yeah. But maybe that is not expensive in the US, but in Kenya, that would usually cost me maybe $2 or $3 maximum. So yeah, quite something. But the good thing, people are very polite. They're very friendly. Unfortunately, people are not very curious. So it's not very easy to make friends locally because they just mind their business. In Kenya, people would engage you. They would talk to you. Here, people are very friendly. They're very polite, but they will not go out of their way to engage you. Unless you really force a conversation.
I'm glad you're confirming a lot of my suspicions and things I've heard from other people about being over there. What do you feel like the level of development and the lifestyle, like going out to eat or whatever? Because I see you.
Oof.
I see.
Yeah.
You guys got to
my
follow
gosh.
Franklin. He's out there. Wait, Abdi, that's working.
Hi, how are you? Is everything okay now?
Sawa.
Is it working on Abdi's side? Okay, now I have a
Iko
problem,
sawa.
Brian. I have a problem.
Okay.
I can't hear Abdi.
Of course you can hear me.
I
My
can't hear Abdi.
headphones are in.
I can see him
What?
speak, but I can't hear him.
Why? That doesn't make any sense. Abdi, keep saying things.
Abdi, can you hear me? I can see you quite well.
Yeah, I hear Frank and Ryan very well.
I can see him speak, but I can't. Can
Did
the
you mute
audience
him?
hear Abdi?
Do you guys hear
Sorry?
Abdi? Yes. Franklin.
I see. Yeah, I see
YouTube
some questions
jail.
about. Yeah,
Straight
I
to
see some
jail.
questions. Are you sending me to jail?
YouTube jail. Where you can't hear
Oh
them?
wow. Yeah, but I was just becoming very famous, Ryan, on the comments.
But I have no problem.
Because of a
MH
crack.
liked your fit with the glasses. She said, I
Yeah,
like
No,
the
I have
pink
no.
shirt.
I have no
thank
problem
you.
him not hearing me.
Thank
I
you.
hear
He's
you.
not the audience.
Yes.
He's not the audience.
Everyone hears Franklin, you really don't hear Abdi?
Absolutely none.
Check your settings. I think it's
Okay,
you.
let me. Abdi just say something?
Hi, Franklin.
No, still not yet.
Let Frank talk about himself some more. Yeah, we'll get to it. I just want to
Yeah.
get our system working here. Because now whatever you did sounds horrible. You're
Who?
polluting our
Me?
ears. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Oh, thank God.
Yes, I know what I did. Now this should be better, right?
Yes.
Yes,
But
I
how
know
can
what
you
I
not
did.
hear? How can you not hear Abdi? It doesn't make any sense.
So weird. So, but I can hear you very well.
Do you have him muted? I didn't even know if you could do that. People.
That is weird. Ran, let me exit and come back again, okay? Because if
All right,
everyone
yeah,
can hear
that's
Abdi, possibly
our best.
I'll take myself to jail.
Yeah.
I plead guilty. I plead guilty.
Thank you, audience, for bearing with us. We'll get better at this as we do it more. But
I think we should get to this question straight on, right?
well, everyone wants to hear the difference between Kenya and Ghana
Accra.
from a Kenyan perspective.
This
Yes.
storyteller.
Now I can hear Abdi really well.
Ah, there we go.
Oh wait, what
Storyteller.
happened? Oh yes, I can hear. Oh, thank God.
Yes.
Hello, storyteller.
Oh, okay, now I have a problem. I can't hear Ryan.
Turn off your other thing. Wait.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I will go back to jail one more time.
Yeah, get him out of here. So yeah, we'll do a little on Kenya versus Ghana, then we'll get into some of the questions because we had some good questions already. Yeah, but see, he's here. This is the problem, probably, because he's in Franklin.
Yes, you can hear me, Ryan.
Yes. Now, can Abdi hear you? Can you hear
Abdi,
Abdi?
can you hear me?
Yes,
Thank
I can
God.
hear. Yes,
Oh,
I can hear
thank
you.
goodness.
Please let
Okay.
no one.
Okay,
Okay,
let's
let no
start
one
off.
speak.
And Candace Roberts, I'm very sorry. We're trying to get to your thing, but we all want to know that is Kenya better than Ghana?
Yes. What?
We're gonna get him in trouble.
Yeah. But I'll be honest, Ryan, if I'm in any trouble, please just come and rescue me. Create some covert mission and come
I
and
got you.
lift me here.
So people, it's not as I mean, people are polite, but they're not like welcoming to like engage with you.
Yeah. So you see, like if you're in Kenya and you're in the cab with a driver, for example, I know Ryan, you've seen this. They would usually engage you, or you're from the US. How is Trump? How is Obama, and all those kind of things.
Right.
Yeah, literally, I've been to so many cabs because I've been here now almost 3 weeks. You get in, they don't care that you come from a different country. So you'd I mean, to have a sense of conversation, you'd really have to force it. Like you have to really keep on pushing. You have to create. It doesn't come out naturally. They're generally just not curious. But on the other hand, they are extremely polite. It is maybe a bit annoying. They start every sentence with the word please. And if they don't start with the word please, they finish with the word please. So they'd be like, please, Ryan, I can't hear you. Yeah?
You guys do. You guys like with emails. say
Yeah.
kindly and
Yes.
stuff like that, it always
Yeah.
bothers me a little bit.
It
I'm
does
like,
it.
I don't
So
want to do it
maybe
kindly. I just want to.
gotta do it. Yeah. It is. I think I'm getting the same feeling because everyone says please. And so it bothers me because I get the feeling that I may be coming off as rude because
Yeah.
I can't say please Ryan, thank you. It just doesn't it doesn't make sense for me. But they're very polite. Also, this is another thing that I have noticed. People will generally, if you're a foreigner, they may be tempted to take advantage of you. Okay. So, for example, they want to take advantage of you in terms of cost, or formal English in the 1970s textbook. Yes, probably. Um, so they may want to take advantage of you as a foreigner, but they are not as aggressive as Kenyans. You know.
Really?
Yes. So, for example, if they want to take advantage of you, if you really insist, then they back off. You know. And like when you go to markets, when you know how Kenyans can really push, like
Yeah. They don't
hawkers
stop.
and people here. They don't push that much. They're not as aggressive. So they'd be like, they try and take advantage of you, but if you push back, then they just stop. So they only take advantage if you fall for it. Yeah. But
So going to the restaurant, going out,
yes.
doing all that stuff.
Whew. So
How does it compare? Do
yeah,
you get your money's
yeah.
worth?
Now let me tell you. So yesterday I went to a good restaurant here. It's called something butter, space and butter, something, a very nice restaurant in one of the really nice neighborhoods. The problem is that some of these restaurants do not indicate their prices with taxes and service charges. Okay. So for example, yesterday I was eating lamb steak and something, just lamb, and some bread and some rice, very little rice called jollof rice, cost me about almost $50. Okay,
50?
super. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not even lying. I can literally show you the menu, the bill. It's crazy. Now, a bottle of water, like 1 liter of water, costs about $5. Okay, in the restaurant. Yes, it's crazy.
This
But
is like a
here's the
nice
shocking part.
restaurant, though,
Yeah,
or like
yes,
a
but
regular
now,
place.
no, it's just. It's a nice restaurant. Yes,
Okay, okay.
but even if I went to a local a regular restaurant, maybe the water would cost me $2.50. So I had my meal. I knew that I'm going to pay because I had someone else with me. I knew that it would cost me about $100. Okay, literally just a meal for two people. When the bill came, the bill was $131. Okay,
Oh
and
my
I'm like, why? They're
gosh.
like, because of tax and service charge. So some places do not. And I was very pissed. I was very mad. I was like, you should. So they don't display. For
They don't
example, the
tell
water
you.
that I bought, yeah, the water was $5. The tax and service charge was $2.50. So I ended up paying $7.50 for the bottle of water. It's crazy. Yeah. So so
I
things
paid
that
$50 for two people for breakfast yesterday, and I
yeah,
thought that was a lot.
yeah. No. It is super expensive. Houses here, for example, in the good neighborhoods, the first day I got here, I was so shocked. I went and asked, okay, so how much? I got this really nice one bedroom in one of the nice areas, and they told me we charge $250 a night. No, I couldn't believe it. In Nairobi, Ryan, $250 will give you a very, very good. If you're getting an apartment, it will be a really, really, really nice apartment.
Yeah.
I don't even know whether we have a one bedroom worth $250 in Nairobi, like in
Now, is it
Westlands.
more built up? Are the roads better? Like, what are you getting for
Yeah.
the money?
So that's also the thing that I've noticed, Ryan. There are so there are the thing about Kenya is that there is people in the lower class, and then there are people in the middle class, and then people in the high class. Ghana has a very thin low class people, and then there is hardly a middle class. Very, very few people are in the middle class, and then we have a very rich population. So, for example, you'll find in the street that we live, you cannot count the number of Range Rovers, the number of Ferraris,
Oh,
the number of Lamborghinis, you know, the number
what?
of yeah, I'm telling you the truth, you know, the number of, I mean, in some, like in that area, if you have a Mercedes, you're a pauper, you know.
Okay.
So that's a problem. There is a very big difference in terms of economic class. Some people are extremely poor, some people are extremely wealthy, which is why, like, which is a validation why if you go to the restaurants, to the supermarkets, like in normal supermarkets, you're getting all these things sold at this price because there's actually a market of people who can afford to buy at that price, you know. So consequently, some areas would be very developed, like an area called Airport, an area called East Lagoon, and an area called, you know, like this rich bougie places. And then if you just go 10, 15 minutes away, like if you drive 20 minutes out of the city, it's extremely bad. The roads are pathetic, you know, really pathetic roads and amenities. So that's
That's
really the problem, I think. Yeah.
that's what I thought was surprising in Kenya. I went to Magadi Road all the way down. It's paved and pretty good. I was like, oh, I
Mm,
thought I was going to be on the dirt roads out there. So that's
mm.
interesting.
Here, if you drive 15 minutes out of the city, you find really bad roads. Tomorrow,
Oh.
I'm going on a journey. It's about 75 kilometers. 75 kilometers would take me about 3 hours, you know, because of the road conditions. So you see, that is a problem. There was a history of corruption, and you know, some people became extremely rich, and some people became extremely poor.
Yikes.
Yeah, yeah. It's something.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. If you got if you guys don't follow, you guys should follow these guys on Instagram. You see Franklin living his best life out there. You know, I'm like, dang. And actually, some of you guys, I follow some of you guys, the audience on IG. Some of you guys are in Kenya. Oh man, it's cold. It was hailing yesterday. Ice is falling from the sky. I'm freezing, and I see some of you guys at my favorite spots with summer clothes on. So I can't wait to get back. All right, let's get into the informational part. Let's get some of these backlog of questions, and then we'll start from the beginning. So, because these guys have been waiting patiently. The legacy of Candace Roberts asked, if you buy leasehold land as a non-citizen and then later become a citizen after 7 years, are you able to renegotiate or change the leasehold requirements for the status of the freehold? I know I asked you guys this the other day.
Okay, I think I'll take that.
Yeah.
You know, if you buy leasehold land as a non-citizen and then later become a citizen after 7 years, so
Can you switch it
no,
back easily?
no, you can't. If a land tenure is leasehold, it remains a leasehold. If it's freehold, it remains freehold. Freehold can be changed to leasehold the moment a foreigner comes in, but it cannot be changed from, I would say, leasehold to freehold. No.
What's the reasoning? Like, because the government just does, like, it's better now for
You
to
see,
be on leasehold?
most properties which are freehold apparently are agricultural land. So if you acquire property on the basis of a leasehold, you know, now when you own a property that is leasehold, you pay rates and rent to the government. So
They would
it
lose
cannot,
that.
and then you see it's pegged on a lease period. But now when you have property whereby you will only be paying rates to the government but not rent, what that means now is that the government, of course, is at loss. And you know, the good thing with freehold is perpetuity ownership. Now they'll
Right.
not allow that. Yeah, they'll not allow that.
Because they would lose revenue, basically.
Some
Correct. Yeah.
properties right
Yeah.
now, the constructions we have right now in Westlands and other parts of Nairobi, there are few properties which I know of actually which are freehold.
Really?
But at the time, yeah. But at the time they're doing the sectional plans and the sectional titles, they are bound to, you know, change from freehold to leasehold.
Okay.
because there are some people who are foreigners who will be acquiring those apartments. So they'll have to be given a lease period and not freehold.
I think we covered this a little bit before, but
And it's
if
not only that, by the way, even the Kenyans themselves who will be part of parcel, who are
yeah,
part and parcel acquiring parts of that apartment, or rather in project, they'll also be subjected to freehold to leasehold.
right.
Yeah.
Not the Nairobi land, because most of it is leasehold, from my understanding, or will be converted if it's an apartment. But if it was you, Abdi, buying, say you were a foreigner in another universe, and you wanted to buy and build a house or something, you got a half acre or something, would the fact that you would buy that property leasehold or have to convert it to leasehold, knowing what you know, would that deter you from purchasing? Or what would
Honestly,
be
no.
your considerations about that?
If I was a foreigner who wants to invest, correct?
Well, say you want to build a house. It's not really exactly an investment. You just.
And the land tenure is freehold or leasehold? What is it?
Well,
Freehold.
it's currently freehold, but because say it's agricultural at that time, but you were buying to, make a home for yourself, maybe a vacation home or something.
Well, I'll try my personal best to keep it at freehold by
Okay.
being a bit smart and try to deviate the rules which are applicable. Because having a freehold property is the best sort of investment someone can dream of, to be honest.
Okay.
What I'll try to do is I'll have to enter into a company arrangement with a Kenyan, for that matter, and then I'll try to have the company acquire the property, and then later on I end up acquiring the company which acquired the property. So I buy the company itself, because in actual sense it's the company which owns the property.
Would you be worried about the government cracking down on these like methods of acquiring the property?
Well, it's a important question, yes. You see, sometimes what happens is, unless now you are not able to comply with the requirements of, let's say, not remitting rates to the government, that's the time when it's usually flagged off and suspicion might arise.
Okay.
But what you can always do, you can play the smart card, whereby you can, if there's something that you feel is cropping up, you can have someone, get some of the shares, so that we can make a claim that this property is actually Kenyan, to the extent that 50% and plus is owned by a Kenyan citizen, which ideally entitles a Kenyan citizen to own a freehold property as opposed to a foreigner.
Okay. That's good stuff. Freedom asks, are all leaseholds 99 years, and does the lease start at the moment of purchase? I feel like there's confusion about this because people will ask about certain developments or projects that they're like, it only has 20 years or 99 years. Can you kind of enlighten us on the time frame of the leasehold?
Yes, I
So,
can.
okay, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah. Let me check this. So, leasehold, as opposed to the US, in Kenya, leasehold is with respect to tenure of the property and not ownership. Okay, and tenure generally means the duration of life of that property. So to answer the question directly to Freedom, and then I will give you the details, the answer is no. It does not begin at the point of purchase. The 99 years usually would begin from when that land title was created. Okay, so if this land title was created in 1950, 99 years would start running from 1950. If it was created in 1980 or 2020, the tenure starts running from the moment that title was created. Okay. Now, if the tenure began, say, in 1990, for example, 99 years would be 2099. In that 99-year period, there could be 5 or 6 or 10 owners of that property. Okay. So the leasehold is with respect to tenure. It is not with respect to ownership. It is just the life of that property So that, for example, if you buy a property now that has 45 years remaining or 50 years, you'd have tenure up to that period is over. But we talked about this, but I'll just mention it in passing. So similarly, it does not mean that after the exhaustion of the 99 years, you lose ownership, okay? Because you must distinguish between tenure and ownership. So for example, if the property is 99 years, let us imagine that the 99 years will lapse in 2030 and you buy the property now. Come 2030, you will simply apply for a renewal of the lease and another 99 years will be issued from 2031. So it will last from 2031 to 2041. Okay. So essentially, if you'll be alive for that 100 and plus years, you will own the property for all that period. You will never have to buy the property a second time. You'll simply just have to renew the lease. I hope that's clear.
And just to add on what Franklin said, two things that I want to point out. Number one, as a purchaser, when you're acquiring these properties, the Sectional Properties Act, that's the law which governs the sectional titles, came into force in the year 2020. It's very clear. Any lease period which is less than 21 years, then the property, or rather the apartment unit buyers, will not be entitled to get what we call a sectional title. So for a sectional title to be processed, the remaining period of the lease must be 21 years and above.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very critical. So the residual years on the lease should be 21 years and above, and not less. So that's why sometimes you see when you do the due diligence, you realize the period of the lease remaining is 18 years. But then the developer is running up and down just to renew the lease, so that when he's about to start the sectional plans preparation, he makes sure that he has procured that extension.
They can do the lease renewal that early?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's always advisable, because there was a Supreme Court case ruling which said that because of land fraud, which was quite common some time back, so it was held that there are two types of how to go about lease expiring. So when the lease has expired, you apply for renewal. Okay. When it's yet to expire, you apply for an extension. What you're seeking is an extension. So the court was very categorical, and it said preemption rights should always be given to the current lease owners. So unless there's a compelling reason as to why the government will not give you that, for instance, public interest, which might supersede private needs. Maybe there's no public school, or maybe there's no public amenity or a market or something which is in great need in that area, then the government automatically renews. Either way, in the worst case event, even if they acquire it, or rather refuse to renew the lease, so what would happen now is it will be interpreted as what we call eminent domain or compulsory acquisition. Now, what that leaves you with is that you will get compensation under the Land Adjudication Act. It's very clear, and it's 1.5% over the current land value at the time. They'll do evaluation, so you'll be paid 1.5 more times.
If you were buying a property that is leasehold, would you be factoring in the current amount of time that it has till expiration in your pricing? Because I would, if my renewal is coming up in 25 years versus 99, there's a different value that I would associate. And I know it's kind of crazy because these lengths of time are pretty long, but a lot of us are thinking very long term, passing down property to kids and such. So it does start becoming a relevant thing for us.
So let me explain. It doesn't literally matter at the end of the day whether you have a lease period remaining, which is 30 years or 80 years. What is critical is once the property is completed, the law requires the developer now to incorporate, or rather form, what we call a corporation. Now it's the corporation where you, as a purchaser,
this is for an apartment.
Yeah, I'm talking about the apartment. Yes. So the corporation has substituted what we used to have in the old regime. In the old regime, we used to have what we call a management company. but they operate more or less the same. Okay, so the cooperation would be very clear. So since you're all purchasers, you will be part and parcel and shareholders of that corporation, and then you'll be working as a group. So it's the corporation which will be applying for the extension of the lease. So it's the same corporation which you pay to the service charge, which ensures the amenities are well protected and everything is in order. So as unit owners, let's say a project in Nairobi, you then project X, then you purchasers speak in one volume. They speak in one voice, and then you speak through the corporation which is entitled, or rather which is mandated to do that kind of service. But the period does not necessarily go hand in hand with the purchase price. No.
Now, would your view of that be different if you were looking at a plot? Because then it would be on you for the renewal, right?
Yeah, for a plot, of course, it's different because it's purely the cost will be borne by you. But you see, the question that always lingers is how much are you bound to pay for the renewal? Because it also depends on the valuation.
Right.
So yeah, I can imagine the plot isn't hell of a money as compared to buying a number of apartments. So when it's an empty space of land, an acre or half an acre, you can always work your things out. Well, some plots also, the good thing about them is that those ones which are in an estate setup, they all have one mother title, but then they have what we call subleases. So the lease is one, but they create subleases for each plot. Okay, so when you're applying, you all apply under that one mother lease.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unless it has an own lease on its own.
And something else, Ryan, on that question, just to give an example, sometimes when you're buying a plot and the question of the amount of the tenure remaining is in question, you see, if you're the purchaser and you come to me and tell me I want to buy it at 1 million, but because it is expired, I want to buy it at 500, I'll tell you, okay, fine, let me go and renew the lease, and then I will give it to you. So it is really not a big deal. So many times there would always be an agreement. So for example, if it will cost me 100,000 to renew the lease, I'll tell you, fine, instead of paying me X, take out the 100,000 and then you do the renewal of lease yourself as you do the title transfer.
So and yes, that's a normal practice if in a real estate negotiation, if that were to come up, that would be acceptable to renegotiate based off of the leasehold duration.
Yes, sometimes, especially but this would be done mostly by developers before they purchase. Right. So for example, if there's 11 years remaining or some little time like that, they would negotiate and say at 11 years they can't do anything. So in the price they would factor in the fact that they would spend X amount, and so they would that amount would be factored within the purchase price.
Does the improvement on the property go into the assessment of the value at the lease renewal period?
Well, they'll look at when they're doing valuation. They of course look at the amenities which are surrounding the property, of course, but they don't do it internally. Of course, they look at whether you have good roads, logistical challenges in the area, whether you have the supermarkets, the schools, and everything else. So if you have all those amenities, of course, the price will skyrocket. If you lack those basic stuff and amenities, of course, the price will always be down. So your internal improvements does not in any way affect the price valuation to determine your extension or renewal. No.
And Kim, I'm going to get to your question in 1 second. That's the next one coming up. And then once we go through the questions, I think we'll circle back to due diligence, as that would be the first thing that we should talk about. But yeah, in the U.S., they would assess our property value every year based off of the improvements on the property. So if you add a pool or do certain things that they become aware of, your tax rate will go up. Unlike you guys, even if you own the property freehold, you still have a property tax obligation, which is exponentially more. So my house, the taxes here in New Jersey are very expensive. It's about $7,000 US a year, regardless of we all pretty much have freehold ownership, but you still pay the tax. So
Wow.
that's forever for so that's why when Americans or Westerners, or at least Americans, I don't know what happens with the UK, but I mean this a lot of people are very concerned about leasehold because it sounds like a lease, like you don't own it. So that's why that's such a big conversation. But I'll tell people, I mean, do you really own it when you have to pay $7,000 a year for it? Because they will take it if you don't pay, just like in Kenya, if you don't pay your land rates and such. So let's get to Kim's question, 'cause she's been waiting patiently. Question for the lawyers: can they help landowners find real estate financiers to partner in joint venture agreements, JVA set up to develop property? That's funny because I think that's one of your core
Yes.
components of the company.
Yes. Thank you, Kim. This is a good question, and the short answer is yes, we do. And the long answer is that in the firm, actually, Ryan, you can just put up the question. That's why
Okay.
I don't miss it
It's
out.
block. I didn't want it to block your face.
No, okay, no. So you can so fine. It's fine. I'll answer it. You can now put it down.
Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, Kim, we have 4 practice areas in the firm. One of the 4 practice areas is what we call strategic partnerships. The first, and so the other three practice areas. In strategic partnerships, we essentially help investors to find strategic partners who are in their circle. So, for example, if you're looking to do development and you're looking to find land to do the development on, we partner you with people who are in that industry. Sometimes we also have people who have finances and are looking for projects to finance. Okay. Sometimes we have people with money to build, but they're looking for property to get into a joint venture. They don't want to buy the property; they want to get into a JV to develop the property. So yes, we actually do that. Usually on a private level. So sometimes we have individuals who want to do that. If you're an individual buyer, say for example, you want to purchase property like an apartment, we would also introduce you to financial institutions like banks and these financial institutions who would also help you secure you financing for that purchase. So the answer is yes, we do.
Which is, I mean, lawyers are going to have to know what people are doing in business, right? So they're going to have the
Yes.
network of people because you're doing the legal work for those businesses.
Yes.
So it's easy
Exactly.
to match people. Real quick, hold on. So I didn't get any. I updated the lighting, the colors, the set. No one said anything.
Actually, yeah, I noticed. I like the new setup, Brian. I really, well, to be honest, I noticed the shirt. I like the black with
Hey,
RD real estate. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, it's very nice.
man.
I think this was a new chair, right?
No, chair's the same.
Same.
It's the lighting. I changed everything up. The audience, you guys didn't even give me no props. I went through the. Oh man. All right. Anyway, Vanguard production stream. Ryan, how difficult and how is the process of getting funds from the U.S. to Kenya to purchase properties? Oh man, this is my least favorite thing about doing transactions. Because every
Yeah.
time I wire money, I'm like, because I always think, what if they play crazy? Like, actually, one of the developers, when I send them the wire, they will not give me a receipt or confirm it for like, sometimes it's like 2 weeks, and I'm like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Because then what's my recourse if they're like, we didn't get it, but it's not in my account,
Actually, Ryan, let me make some comments to Vanguard.
Yeah.
So yes, actually, this is a real problem. Okay, for 2 reasons it is a problem. First, Vanguard, exactly what Ryan has said. How do you confirm that they received your money? What if they say they did not receive it? We've had instances where like there's a case Abdi worked on. A client said, I sent the booking fee. The developer says, I haven't seen anything, so there's back and forth. And this was a client, I think, from the Netherlands or somewhere. So that is the first problem. The second problem is, even in the event you send the money, there's always a risk of currency exchange. Okay. So we mentioned it before. There's a client who sent $100,000. They got an exchange rate. So the exchange rate is at that time was around 129 shillings for $1. They got it at 124. Okay, so they lost 5 shillings for every dollar. Essentially, they lost $5,000. And we had another client who lost about $12,000 in exchange because they were buying a property. It was worth more than 150,000. Some properties are almost 192,000, like Pandora. You know that, Ryan. So those are the two problems, Vanguard, and that's where your question is good. Now, what are the solutions to this problem? There are two possible solutions. The first is that you actually, maybe there are three. The first is that you could speak to the developer and confirm if it is streamlined their manner of receiving payments, especially if they receive payments in foreign currency. Secondly, you could, if you have been to the country yourself, you could, especially if you're making payments repeatedly, and if you're also collecting money, you could decide to set up your own personal account here in Kenya as a foreigner. And if you're setting up an individual account, as long as you're in the country, would usually do that for you in 1 day, maximum of 2 days. And you'd get both a USD account, a Euro account, a Pounds account, and a Kenya Shillings account if you wanted. So that's one possible solution by getting yourself an account. Secondly, if that is difficult, if you've not been into the country, we have a service at the firm where we create an escrow account for clients, and you can send money to that account, and then we'll do the conversion for you. We'll confirm to you what rate the bank gave us, then do the remittance for you, and then charge you a very small fee for this service. So yeah, this also happens for other clients who have not been to the country and who cannot, for some reason, pay the money directly to the developer. We have an escrow account specifically for this reason.
Oh, yeah, we got the escrows. That's an important thing. I want to come back to the escrow thing, but one quick note. I use Chase Bank, which I don't normally use for my normal banking, but they do international wire transfers. They will offer you an option, and I don't know how the other banks work, but Chase offers you an option to send in the receiver's currency. What happened to me was similar to what you're saying, is that Chase actually was the one that gave me a horrible conversion, and they didn't confirm it. So I didn't even know, or maybe I missed it. Maybe it was my fault. They gave me like 125 or 124 instead of 129. I lost like $1,200 in the transaction. Damn. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
So you need to definitely confirm the conversion. But with the escrow, my other question with you guys was, the developers are very slow to provide receipt sometimes, not all of them. Although I do find it's better when I send from my Kenyan bank account to them the PaySalink way to do it.
Yes.
They instant receipt.
Yes.
But if you're wiring international, they can take a long time. If they send it to your escrow, are you going to like ensure receipt of the funds?
Yes.
It's like, what if they be like, we didn't get it? Because they could stonewall you like that, and like, what do we do?
Yeah, so first, Ryan, you're absolutely correct. If you're doing currency conversion out of the country, so for example, if you're doing it through Citibank or through Chase Bank or whoever, you're absolutely getting a bad deal, because usually they would give you, there's Visa rates and then there's their rates, and everyone is making money off of you somewhere there in between, So it will definitely always be a bad deal. Now, when it comes to escrow, and just for me to mention, when it comes to escrow, we would usually make the payment, and then we would usually make sure that it is linked to the specific client. So if it is Ryan Fagan buying apartment A01, so it would be absolutely clear exactly who is the purchaser and what property are you buying, so that there would be no lapse, absolutely. And usually, if because it is local, when we do the transfer, it will usually be instant or same day transfers. Similarly, if you're receiving payments from the US ourselves, it would take us many times. It comes on the same day of payment, because our bank is a really big bank, so it actually has direct link to the US, so it doesn't have an intermediary bank. So if you make a payment, in many cases we even get it within the same hour. In very rare cases, we get it later in the day or the following day. But yeah, usually we'd receive it and then remit it for you immediately.
Abdi, do you have anything on transfers, escrow?
No, I think Frank covered everything perfectly well.
Okay, good. Guys, that's a big one. Like, don't just wire money and like that.
Yes.
Make sure if it's the first time, you got to figure out the best way to do it.
Yes.
Because they act like you're a criminal when you go to the bank try to wire money to Africa. I promise.
Yes.
Like
yes.
you gotta. I'll make the transfer, and then if you don't answer the phone when the bank calls you, they'll cancel it.
Yes.
Sometimes,
Yes.
like it's crazy. And then when I would send the wire, if the address, when I bought my vehicle, they had a Mombasa office and a Kiambu County office. I kept putting the Kiambu one, and it kept canceling like 8 times. So I was like, wait, they have Mombasa, and then I put it in there, let it work. So sending money is very hazardous. So
yes,
working with someone is very helpful.
Yes,
Dr. Decca, welcome back. Hello. Do you guys hear my soundboard? You might not because I changed my audio thing. Okay, anyway. Hello, Ryan. I joined late. The lighting looks great. Thank you. You're the first person to notice. Unprompted. I'm just here for your viewing pleasure, just trying to make it a little bit better, you know? It's all for you guys. I want to thank you for bringing FKC Legal back, whom I had the pleasure of talking to recently. Abdi and Franklin are truly professionals. Hey, thank you. And she's a member as well, so I appreciate that. Let us know. Well, she's already working with you guys, so she probably already has her questions answered. But thank you so much. That's great. And it's good to hear that everything is working out with people. I see your question. I see this question. I'm going to get to that. Not that one yet. Levy, I might get to O'Shea Duke Jackson. I don't want to eat up too much time, though. But I want to jump on that, but I want to stay on topic before we get to I'll get all distracted. But Levy asks, is it true a U.S. citizen can get a visa on a... Oh, this is way back.
See.
I don't know. Do you know
let me just I'll have to check. Levy, you can just contact us on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number is on the link that Ryan gave. So I'll confirm for you the situation of getting a visa in that's our WhatsApp number. So I'll confirm for you about US getting visas in Ghana. But for Kenyans, we don't need a visa coming to Ghana, so we simply just walk in. We actually don't need a visa.
They've been doing good on the continent now,
Yes.
getting rid of some of the visa requirements. I know Kenya, if you have any African passport, I think is you can come.
I think we can access like 50 countries in Africa without any visa as Kenyans. Yeah,
that's good to see. I guess we'll go to, as an American, what is the home buying process to buy a home in Nairobi? What about the rental process? Oh, that's quite broad. Do we want
Do you want to take this?
I think when he said as an American, we can just say as a foreigner. Yeah. So as a foreigner, or rather an American, what's the home buying process? Well, to be honest with you, the transaction is always the same. Of course, 1 or 2 differences with respect to you requiring a carry pin, Abdissalam, and there, but everything else remains the same. You know, you'll all be given a sale agreement, whether you're a Kenyan or a foreigner, it doesn't matter. You'll have to do the transfer on your own. You have to get the sectional title, which is entitled to you based on the purchase you made. Well, there isn't any special, requirements for Kenyans as opposed to Americans or vice versa. Rental process for an American, well, Americans are the only benefit Americans would have with respect to compared to other citizens when they come to invest in Kenya is that they get what you call special immigration status, which is the multiple journey visa. But the procedure and everything else is more or less standard. We don't have special leeway on that.
Also, we've done another live, so there's another set of live, and also we have them clipped out now. So there might be information in there that we've gone over that you might be able to check out. Also, we're going to clip this so it'll be faster, and all these questions and segments will be clipped out. So anyone that misses or just wants certain pieces of information as we're going through it, we've been doing better trying to clip that stuff. So obviously not everyone's going to watch a 3-hour live or whatever. So been working on that. Vanguard said, thanks for the information. I'm with Chase Bank as well. Yeah. Be careful how you send money.
Yeah.
If many of the developers have US dollar accounts. So if you send US dollar to US dollar, you don't get penalized, and they give you the actual exchange rate, at least, with the 2 different developers that I've purchased with. They didn't beat me up on that conversion, but always pay attention to the conversion. Legacy of Candace Roberts. Ryan, are there financial obligations to a leasehold property in Kenya if a person dies? What years left on the contract? That's a good question.
Are there
Especially as a
obligations
foreigner. What if a foreigner dies with foreign leasehold? Jeez.
So yeah, let me Are there financial obligations to a leasehold property in Kenya? The person dies with years still left on the contract.
That's a good question.
So yeah. So I understand this question to be if you pass on and you still own the property and it still has leases on the property. So essentially, when you die, this property would be part of your estate. Okay. And so and maybe this is an important, I know we're supposed to speak about it later, but maybe this is a good time to speak about the importance of owning your property as a foreigner in a company. Okay? Yes, because it is linked exactly to this question. So the legacy of Candice. Now, Candice, if God forbid you pass on and you have the property in your individual name as Candice, the property will belong to your estate. Okay? Now, people in the US would have to trigger a whole succession mechanism to have that property in Kenya recognized as part of your estate in the US, in your probate and administration procedures. Okay? And while that can happen, unfortunately, it can be a bit lengthy, because usually you'd have to go to the US or UK, whichever country, go through the succession period, get what is referred to as grants of letters of administration, and then you'd come back to Kenya and then file an application known as resealing of the grant in Kenya, okay? Which essentially means you want to take the grant that had been issued in the US saying Candice owned apartment A in wherever, and you want it to be recognized in the Kenyan courts, so that then this property can be owned by your siblings or your beneficiaries. Now that is one way. But you see, the problem with that is that it is extremely lengthy, extremely costly. The shortcut to avoid all this would be to have this property in a company, okay? Because the thing is, Candice, companies will never die. They have perpetual succession. So there is no death in the company. So that if, God forbid, even if you passed on Candice, what would simply do is that you would just do a share transfer from yourself, Candice, to your beneficiaries. So if it is your children, your brothers, whoever, and you avoid all that legal procedure that I talked about, essentially that I talked about of the succession. But essentially, the short answer is that it would not affect your ownership in any way. But the complication is that it is a very lengthy procedure in succession to have it recognized and protected. And so therefore, the best thing to do is to have the property owned in the company, so that then the only thing we'll do for you is to have a share transfer in that company. I don't know, Abdi, if you have anything you want to add.
If they don't decide to own it in a company, of course, at the time of purchase, when they are purchasing, there is also the next of kin or assignees, which they always indicate in the agreement. So anything happens to that individual, then automatically the next person in line can come and just carry on with the lease.
You know what's
But
funny
but
about these things is that I think people, when they're looking to buy in Kenya, are actually looking at the law more than they even do in our home country, right? Because in the U.S., if you pass away, it's kind of a mess as well because you could go through probate. There could be
yes,
taxes based off of estate tax and things like that. But I mean, you have to have a lot of money for that to matter. And there's legal structures in the U.S. that help alleviate some of this because you could have irrevocable trust. You can deed the property. You could do life estate deeds. There's a lot of things actually that are run parallel that people may not even be aware of in the U.S. So it's interesting to see that there are similar structures and methods within Kenya to alleviate these things because I've just been paying attention to my property in the U.S. And if you pass away, it can be problematic when you have multiple heirs and things like that. There's just family disputes. So, but there's structure, like if you have it in a company, then it has, it never dies, like you said, is a good
exactly.
example. So it's really interesting. And for the audience, when you guys are thinking about these things, just the correlation to your home country on how some of the laws work is really interesting. I love
Okay.
all the engagement. I love all the questions. I see some more in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to prioritize the member ones can interrupt the flow. But I do want to cover some fundamental topics through the purchase process. And then you guys can ask questions within that realm. And then if we have time at the end, I'm going to go back to some of the questions in here. I love the audience. I want to respect the audience as much as possible and deliver the information that you guys want. But at the same time, I do want to have somewhat of a cohesive explanation because this may lay the groundwork for other people so they can go back and the concept of the bridge that I was talking about before. At least you kind of know the path to start and go, and you'll know enough information to be a little dangerous when you come and be able to, operate. Obviously, you should consult with FKC Legal if you're trying to do things, but at least you'll have a base of reference to understand things is the whole point of this. So I think the best place to start, even though we've been going for almost an hour already, is due diligence. It's probably one of the most important things for, when you're looking to buy property. So I guess, can I give you guys the floor? Uh, can we separate out, because I do feel like the off plan and apartment purchases are they're not different, but the things that you're going to pay attention to are specific to that, and then the land can get quite a bit more involved. So if you just differentiate those when you're giving your explanation. But how should someone approach due diligence? What is something that when they hire you guys that you do? What is the things to look for? All that. Just give us an overview of like good due diligence in a property purchase.
I think I will let Abdi deal with this aspect, at least the technical aspect. But I just want to give him cue by just saying that I think from what we have seen, due diligence is one of the most important things that you can do, especially if you're buying off plan, because the thing about off plan is that it has high rewards, but also that means high risk because they always go hand in hand. And so due diligence is important because it answers the fundamental question: Are you buying air or are you buying a real asset? We've had instances where we've had clients or people who are purchasing properties on floors that don't exist. These are not fake stories; they are real stories. We've had cases where a foreigner, it was not an American, but someone was purchasing a property on a certain floor. Let's imagine it was the 20th floor, but the development had only been allowed to do until the 18th floor. Okay, we've had cases where people have bought properties on companies which have had instances of bankruptcy and insolvency in the past, or cases of tax evasion and tax disputes in the past. So, so due diligence is important because it essentially gives you peace of mind so that when you're buying, because most of these investments that you guys are making are really expensive. So essentially it just allows you to have a lot of peace for the duration of the purchase. But I'll let Abdi then go into the details on to exactly what it entails, what we do, and what are the areas that we look into.
Just to start off, see, due diligence is very critical, as Frank had pointed out. And from legal perspective, I usually look at it from three ways. The first ambit, of course, relates to the property itself, and that involves a site visit. I need to get the LR number, or rather the block number. Initially in Nairobi, we used to have what you call the land reference number, or the inland reference number, IR, which used to appear in the title deed. But because of the digitization of the registry system nowadays, we have what you call the Nairobi/block. So most properties in Nairobi have a block number. Okay, that means that property has been converted, and its details are also available on the Abdissalam platform, which is the digital registry. Now, what we start with is, of course, a site visit. We go to the site and look at it and see indeed what exactly the site is all about. And then once you understand the site, now we go and proceed with the paperwork. Now, there is, of course, a checklist that I usually send over to people when we are conducting due diligence for them. That is, it has up to around 11 to 12 items, but I'll just pick out on the main ones. So the first ambit, of course, relates to the property, which is you have to look at the title deed. In the title deed, we usually check for three things, or rather four things. One would be the actual owners who appear on the title, the remaining period of the lease on that title. We also check for if there's any encumbrance, or rather a mortgage or a charge registered against that property in the title deed. Finally, and lastly, we also look at what we call the actual measurements, the cadastral map of the title vis-a-vis that of the property. If you are able to answer all these questions in the affirmative, of course, now the next thing you would proceed to.
Oh, can I stop you real quick on the title deed thing? Because I saw something. Was there another case that added some case law that the possession of a title deed is not like the ownership thing with owner. Yeah, it doesn't equal ownership.
Yes.
Yeah. See, there's a difference between ownership and possession. Very clear. You possessing it does not necessarily mean you're owning. Why? The person whose name appears on the records and the registry is the actual bona fide owner as far as the government is concerned. So you might be holding a property, but in actual sense, your details are not reflected where it should be reflected. Now, if you go to a court of law, Frank, you want to chip in?
Yeah, I just want to say, specifically with this case, Ryan, the mischief that the case is addressing is that sometimes people own land, so the land is correctly registered in the name of Ryan, correct? But Ryan obtained the property fraudulently. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there is a principle, Latin maxim that we have called nemodat non quod habet, which simply means that you cannot give better title than what you have. So essentially, Ryan, if you obtain the property fraudulently, you cannot then come and say, no, but the title is in my name, so I own the land, If there is an illegality that you did, then that illegality supersedes the fact that you have title in your name. How does this translate to the current conversation? It just again points to the importance of the due diligence. Even if you purchase property and you have a sectional title registered in your name or in your company's name, but the developer obtained the land fraudulently, you cannot say that you own the land. The court will find that you, as a bona fide purchaser, even if you bought it without knowing of this defect, you cannot then be held to own the land legally. Okay,
Ooh, so the end buyer is at risk.
Yes. So in Kenya, the land registration is extremely critical and crucial. If that developer obtained it fraudulently, for example, and then you did not do your due diligence, you came and bought the property, could it be a proper ready-made apartment or not? If it was obtained illegally or there was an issue with licenses, with approvals, you cannot say that I have ownership, then the property is mine. Okay, so that's essentially what it means. And so this just says, again, it's super important to do the due diligence that Abdi is talking about, because then what we do is that we also look at the historical ownership of that land.
Right.
How do they own it? How did they own it? You know, is it a process of any litigation? So those kind of things. And those things would supersede your right as a registered owner of that property.
To put that in context from a U.S. perspective, is that that's why we have title companies, right? So the deed, the physical deed actually doesn't mean that much because it's the chain of title that's relevant. So they go back to every deed transfer that has been publicly recorded and make sure that it was proper and conveyed with no clouds or other people with claims against the property. And so if you did receive, like, so anyone could write you a deed, it doesn't really mean anything unless the chain of title is consistent. So not to scare people, because that is a bit scary, like, oh, I could buy something and then it's like buying stolen property or something that you didn't know, and then they take it and you don't have money. So the due diligence there, though, is that you guys, it used to be a green card that you would look at or something like that to see the chain of title of ownership.
Abdi, you want to take it?
Yes. It's called the Green Book. Yeah.
Kim was on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called.
Yes,
it's called
exactly,
the Green.
yes.
It's called the Green Book. Yeah. So it's very critical because you see what it talks about is that usually two types of searches whenever you are doing a search or rather an inspection of the property. We have the historical search, you have the manual search, and we have the digital search. So historical search talks about the history of the property, when this property was initially allotted by the government to an individual or rather a company, and how successive ownership was done over the years.
So is the Green Book history being implemented on the Abdissalam?
No. So what happens is, you see it for the Abdissalam, they have what you call the digital. This is the digital registry. What it does, it just speaks about few things. It talks about the proprietor owner, the owner of the property. It talks about the tenure, whether it's lease or freehold. It talks about the remaining number of years in the lease. It talks about whether it's a charge or encumbrance. So it's quite precise and straight to the point. But if you want to understand how this property moved hands over the years, you have to get the historical search through the Green Book.
Why wouldn't they put that as part of the digitization? Oh, okay.
Too big. Yeah.
So here I could see every deed online that has ever been registered with a property. Okay, so that's interesting.
Don't worry, we're a third world. We're getting there soon.
Well, Abdissalam is new. That's why I was wondering why they wouldn't, update the chain. But okay, that's interesting. PP Bob said, so if someone acquires property through fraud, but does not change the name on ownership documents, does it mean land rate is paid by the real owner?
No, land rate will. Okay, go ahead, Frank.
No. Just go ahead, Abdi, and then I'll talk about this question, the other side of the question. Just deal with the land rate issue.
On land rate, of course, the person whose name appears on the title is the one who's bound to pay rates. Okay. Simple as that. That's it. At the face value of it, so long as your name appears on the registry and on the records, you are bound to pay the government the rates.
Let me just Let me just give a story just in a few seconds on this question. A story, an interesting case that we handled in Kajiado, where on the question of fraud, someone went and obtained land fraudulently. It's a long story, but this is a short version. They obtained the land fraudulently, say from someone. Then when they came, they then sold this property to someone else. Okay, so Ryan bought the property fraudulently and then sold it to me. And then what I did is that I went and what happened exactly? Let me try to think. So actually Ryan bought the property fraudulently and then went and took a loan to build that property. They took about $1 million in loan. Okay, the bank issued the loan. And then
the bank did due diligence on the.
Yes. No, they did the due diligence, but I think they were compromised. and in this case, we're acting for the bank. So essentially, they gave the loan of about $1 million to do this development, and then so me later on I come and say, hold on, this property belongs to me. Why are you building it here? Then I went to court, and the person, so the real owner, the correct owner of the land, actually won the case. So you see, the bank lost more than $1 million in that saga, you know, because the bank was told it was your obligation to do proper due diligence. You did not perform any due diligence. The bank was told, so you have to go and recover your money from Ryan. The property was given back to the real owner. Okay, yeah. So just to say that in Kenya, the questions of land fraud are extremely critical. It doesn't matter. We have a mall somewhere in Nairobi that had been built on riparian land. The mall cost more than $2 million, no, more than $20 million. It was more than 2 billion Kenyan shillings. It was brought down. More than $20 million was brought down because of title issues. So it is extremely important that this is dealt with.
Jeez.
Yeah.
What? So, are these issues from people being reckless, or can this happen to someone that is like being diligent about what they're doing? You know, like I'm asking, what's the probability that like you are a reasonable individual and you're taking proper precautions to purchase and do everything the right way? Is that still a risk? Like, what's the type of risk that someone faces?
So I would say that just like in any society, there's always good and bad people. The unfortunate reality is that in the Kenyan situation, as it is in many countries of foreigner, you're more susceptible to fraud than local Kenyans, you know. And we had a recent, maybe 2 weeks now, just a recent case of a client from the US who was looking to purchase some property in the coast. They had a good deal. It looked too good to be true. So when we went to do some investigation, we found that it was an attempted fraud on their part, like someone was trying to steal from them. And they were telling them, no, you have to deposit with us about 80% before we give you the documents. And then we were like, this is not normal, you know. And this client was ready to pay this amount of money, you know. So but when they came to us, told them, no, that is not the procedure. In any case, you shouldn't release the money to the property owner, but to their lawyers. You cannot buy property directly from the property owner. Just involve lawyers. We had other cases where we had this person who was masquerading as an agent, who was to do interior design for some 20 American investors. And so every investor gave him $20,000. This guy disappeared with $400,000 US of 20 Americans. Can you imagine? These are not imaginary. These are real life things that we have seen. And so.
But that's what I want to get at, though.
Yeah.
Are people being reckless? Like, can you be a good operator and still get scammed or have these type of things happen? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because when I hear about a scam, when they start telling a story, I'm like, yeah, but like, I mean, you should have known.
I think it is the same thing. You know, Ryan, today your tooth can ache. You could decide to pull it out with your own pliers, which is cheap for you, you know. Or you can decide to go to a dentist. So yes, while this is always a real risk factor, going to reputable lawyers is good because then lawyers are specifically trained to do these kind of things, you know. So that would be my advice. Go to a reputable professional. Yes, have an agent to help you with the pump. We have another case where someone got an agent. They said, oh, you know, we provide paved roads and electricity. Then when we came on board, wanted to do due diligence, they completely refused. When we finally forced our way, they had to say, oh, you know, some things were not true. They were trying to mislead this American client that, you know, it will be serviced plots and electricity and whatnot. So sometimes that happens. The way to deal with that is really just to talk to your lawyers and make sure that the lawyers do a really thorough due diligence, because not all agents sellers are bad, but one scammer is too bad for one person, you know.
I think what I try to understand, because I do have a real estate background and I do understand the laws and title and how this stuff works. I mean, obviously Kenya is different, but like I keep saying, there's similarities enough where I guess I could tell when something seems off, maybe, because I'm waiting for it to happen to me, but I really haven't had any of these bad experiences. And so I'm like, is it what people are doing or what? You know, that's what really I'm trying to understand. Like, what is the actual risk level? Because people talk about scamming a lot. And I'm like, where's the scams? You know?
Yeah. No, I think in your case, Ryan, you're lucky because you have some idea of the Kenyan situation. You know,
I guess.
and you're not also very naive, but you know, sometimes we have clients who come and they have no idea. Some clients also tend to be too trusting than they should be, you know. So I think sometimes you find people who are scammers, like they actually go to scam. Sometimes people are just opportunistic. They're like, but Ryan is naive. Let me see if I can get some extra coin from this person, you know? Yeah.
So with your company, that interior design situation, what would you guys do for that, right? Because that's not like a land transfer or anything like that. It's just like you know, a transaction where you're paying someone to furnish a property, right? Like even a lower situation, right? Like I need to get the air conditioner in my car fixed, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
even that could have someone overcharge. Oh, I got to order a part. Oh, I got to do that. Like, what do you guys do? Like, do you guys help people with this smaller type of transactions? How does that,
Yes.
you know, work?
Yes. Actually, as a matter of fact, we actually have live cases now where and a good number of us have are actually Americans. We have a service that we provide for specifically this kind of clients. Because let's imagine you bought property in Kenya. Most people have full-time jobs in the US, so they can't afford to be in the country full-time. They'll come maybe for 2 weeks, have to go back. They certainly can't be here for like 4 or 5 months, you know? So we have a service for those kind of people where we again have an escrow account for them and would handle projects on their behalf. For example, now we have a project, we have a client who is buying something in the Marquee. They already bought property in the Marquee. And essentially, actually, this is one of the victims of the 20, one of the survivors of the 20. So now they're very, yeah, the victims. So essentially, we have an escrow account for them. They identified an interior designer. What we do is that because we're a trusted company, we stand in the middle. We create a contract between this client and the interior developer, the interior designer. So we manage the whole process for them. When they send funds, they send funds. We have funds in our account. In fact, they just sent some money for the second phase on Friday. So we hold the money in our account, and then we release money to the interior designer when we're satisfied with the work and upon instructions from the client. So for example, Ryan, you would say, yes, I'm satisfied with phase 1, release 10,000, we'd release it on your behalf, you know. Also, when your property is complete, you want someone to do handover, would go to the property for you, would do the handover for you, would check to see if there's any structural difficult, problems. Is there anything? Is there a tile that is misplaced? Is there a wallpaper? So we'll do all those things for you. If you can't come to Kenya, so yeah, usually we help that, and then we charge a fee for this as well.
That jams people up that they're only here 2 weeks and things don't move on time. So like you lose your vacation time waiting on somebody for something and then it doesn't happen. So that's a big one. Other points on due diligence?
Yeah, so let me just carry on. With respect to the next phase, of course, before I get to the next phase, we usually look for what we call a court case, any court case with respect to the property. We also want to know whether this property is subject to a land dispute in court. Does it have any inheritance, ownership issues? Sometimes you find a property or rather parcel of land is matrimonial property. It's owned by a family and there's a court battle ongoing. So it's very risky to invest in such kind of a project. The next phase, of course, now we look at what we investigate who the developer is. Why? Because we've seen the rise of developers in the near past. People who have no pennies in their pockets want to build high rises. Why? Because they want to rely on the money you'll be remitting on a daily basis for them to finance the construction. So we want to know who the developers is, how they done similar projects in the past, their success rate, are they liquid enough to manage and complete the project on time as contemplated in the agreement? Do they have any sort of financing from a bank or any lending institution to help them, meet their deadlines on time? So, and do they also are they people repeatable name as well? Do they themselves, the company themselves, do they have a court case? And do they also have any tax liabilities that is pending? Because sometimes carrier might come for the project, when they're
Is it
looking for the
hard?
developers.
Is it hard to track down the developers because they establish new entities when they do
We
each
request.
project?
Yeah, the reason why they do so is actually to streamline for purposes of taxation. So, but what we will do is we usually inquire from them whether they have done projects in the past and under what umbrella have they used.
Okay.
Yeah, so we usually inquire that.
What if they
Lastly,
don't? What if they have one that bankrupted? They don't tell you about. Would you be? Would you? Because some of the developers, I know some of their projects just from familiarity, but you can't know everything, right?
well, the thing is, of course, sometimes they will not be honest enough to disclose all the information you're inquiring. But what happens in most cases is that you you don't directly work with the developer, and sometimes you work with the salespersons. Now you see the salesperson, or rather the internal agent, would disclose crucial information. I'll tell you, oh yeah, by the way, we did these projects in the past, we did this and that,
Okay.
So you pick on those critical informations and do your homework.
Okay.
Finally, we look at the regulatory compliance element, which is very critical. This is now where we look at whether they've complied with the law in respect to the construction itself. Have they procured the relevant permits and approvals? That is from the National Construction Authority, from NEMA, from the building plans approvals from Nairobi County. If the properties whereby maybe let's say the two pieces of land and they want to merge together, do they have the amalgamation approval from the county government? So we usually have they done the environmental impact assessment? Has this property been gazetted? Do they have the change of user? So we usually look at this from end to end just to check that everything is in order for them to commence the construction successfully, and then of course that now covers you end to end. And then of course once we have all this in place, we will generate a report for you advising you on the suitability of your investment or not, based on our findings.
Okay. That's good. That's good. You want to clarify a little bit, especially off plan for this, like the offer letter, sales contract, the different documents, but also like the process, right? Because it's a little bit more involved than something that most people would be familiar with.
Yeah. So sometimes what happens is when you approach a project, sometimes they would issue you with what you call a reservation form or a booking form. Okay. So what this does is it shows you a level of commitment, but it's not legally binding agreement. This is not a legally binding contract. Okay. It's a form of invitation, what you call invitation to trade. You're being invited to come and purchase. So what would happen now in this case is very simple. You'll be required to fill the booking form, deposit some money. Okay. Now, once you deposit that money, it shows the level of commitment. In most cases, it goes between 100,000 Kenyan shillings all the way to 500,000, depending on the purchase price of that particular property you're investing in. This shows you level of commitment on your end, and they will also be required to put, or rather get that property, that apartment off the market for purposes of having been tendered for.
Now, at that point, that money is refundable.
Of course, it would not only refundable, but if you proceed with the agreement, with the sale, or rather the purchase, it will be deducted from the purchase price. So it's part and parcel of the purchase price.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there any risk of them just deciding to not return it to you?
No. Because you
Okay.
see, there's an obligation on both, and that you'll be bound by you'll be operating in good faith. So once you tender all the documentation and information, and you deposit that money, the unit is locked for you. Now the next thing now is what I usually advise people: always try to start with the booking so that you don't have to commit to the letter of offer. So the letter of offer now is the second in line, which is supreme to the reservation form. Now the letter of offer, of course, is clear. It has clauses which are very critical, and it's sometimes they indicate what we call subject to contract. So what they do is certain clauses of the letter of offer are literally directly verbally, word by word picked from the sales agreement. So assignment clauses, default clauses, termination clauses, purchase price clauses generally. So these are ones which they'll be reflected in the sales agreement. Now, the problem with the letter of offer is that if it defaults, you stand to forfeit a percentage of the purchase price which you had deposited. Okay. Let's say you deposited 20% of the purchase price. Now,
At the time of the offer letter?
yes, let's say you proceeded to purchase 20%, for instance. Okay.
Yikes. Okay.
And for one reason or the other, you're not able to proceed with the transaction. So there's a forfeiture amount or a certain percentage that you would have to forfeit.
Even at the point of the offer letter?
Yeah, because you see, some offer letters have very clear, distinct clauses with default clauses. So
that is a binding contract at that point?
absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Binding one, because you append your signature, they'll also append their signature and becomes legally binding.
So what happens, because the next thing they're going to do is send you the agreement of sale.
Yeah, so once
but what if I don't, what if we have a dispute about the language in the agreement of sale? Am I still in default?
The sales agreement.
Well,
if you are not able to sign it.
Yeah, if I don't agree with some of the terms.
Mm-hmm. So it depends. See, what happens is, Ryan, some letter of offers are not strictly legally binding, as I would say, because the way they frame the language, some would just be like, I'm offering you something. For a valid contract to be enforceable in a courts of law and to be valid, it requires 5 elements. So the 5 elements is an offer, acceptance, consideration, intention to be bound by the terms of that offer, and finally capacity. Do you have the relevant, the requisite capacity to enter into such an arrangement in the first place? Yeah. So the letter of offer, but sometimes developers are very, very, smart. So they would put a termination or default clause in that offer letter. Now, when you sign, it becomes binding. That's the challenge about it, and that what you stand to lose is, let's say you paid 10% at the offer letter stage, 10%. So you'll be losing 10% of that 10% of whatever you have paid.
Right.
That is what you will have to forfeit. If two things that you have to point out is, you see, once you leave the offer letter, or rather before you get to the offer letter, it's when we advise our clients to get hold of the due diligence documents, so that before you even commit to the offer letter and you're not losing a coin, why don't we just get the due diligence off our chest once and for all? Then once everything is in order, proceed to the offer letter and then subsequently with the sales agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That it seems a little risky for the offer letter, because I didn't know they would try to hold you to the offer letter, because maybe, what I've been paying more attention to the agreement of sale now, because I've had a little bit of a conflict with the developer over, for example, they were charging for the use of the amenities, which was not listed in the agreement of sale, which I was happy that the agreement was on my side. I realize you don't want to sign an agreement of sale that if you don't agree with some of the terms in there. So it seems a bit risky if you're giving them more money without knowing what their terms are.
That's true. That's true. But you see, it's a project by project basis. Some developers will never really bother you about offer letters and those strict
Right.
timelines and those clauses. But
Yeah, that's
some
been my
would feel like
experience.
they've invested their time, energy, and everything else, and it has to be accounted for. So it's
I,
a case by case basis.
I would caution people to get it
Yeah,
to the money ahead of the paperwork,
yeah, we can have
essentially.
both we can have the offer letter. What we usually advise our clients is if you don't have the booking form, no problem, just grab the offer letter, but make sure you don't sign. Let's go through the clauses and see what we can talk about before
Okay.
we put pen to paper.
Right.
But
Okay. Perfect.
one thing that has to be pointed out is that the real legal relationship starts at the point of the sales agreement because that's the one which binds and supersedes everything else.
Right.
So that is the one that would determine whether you'll go in bed with this developer or not.
So going to the sales agreement, you want to talk about some of the very important clauses that people should be aware of and should, definitely look at. Obviously, if they're hiring you guys, I mean, you guys are going to do it, but just for their own information, it's important.
Yeah, some critical clauses, of course. We usually have the default clause. That's a very common clause, which talks about in the event you default, what happens. Sometimes they will tell you, oh, you have to issue a termination notice first. I was reviewing a sales agreement this morning, surprisingly, and those people who drafted that sales agreement are very smart. So what they did was they included 3 months where we can try to redress the breach on their part. So one, we have the negotiating period, which is 30 days in good faith. Okay. And then we have the termination notice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then finally, I think there was another something notice. So in short, that's 90 days. Okay. And they were willing, after this 90 days are exhausted, they are willing to give themselves another 90 days before they can actually return back your investment.
Right.
If, of course, they are on the side of the breach.
A
So
lot of the contracts give them a long time to give you your money back.
because you see, what happens in this case is that they all tell you the money is going to the project.
Uh-huh.
But now, you see, that's a big problem to me. Why? Because my money, if you're paying me back after 6 months, it should be a very compounding interest rate. It should give me some returns, and then what usually happens is whenever you don't pay, they're also on your doorstep, ringing you all the time, like, oh, you're gonna default, you're gonna default. But in most cases, they don't want you to default. They need the money so that they can complete the project on time. They don't want a class law actions class law action suits, class action suits, which are very dangerous to their reputation and the project by extension. So the common clauses are the default clauses, which we speak of quite common. There are clauses which talk about the assignment clauses, which is very critical. Some investors would want to do business, so they come acquire the property at the groundbreaking stage, and then later on, before it's actually completed, they want to sell it to a third party at a good profit margin. So some developers will tell you, rather sellers will tell you, okay, no problem, but you see, before you sell, why don't you just clear with us first? And then we can do the deed of transfer and deed of innovation for that matter. Some will just blatantly agree and tell you, okay, you can give us a small administrative fee and then we can facilitate the same. So it's also on a case by case basis, but they always try to have the final say so that they can have some order when it comes to the assignment clause. You either pay them in full at first, you clear with them before you transfer anything, or you can transfer, yes, but you have to notify us, you have to give consent, and then of course we can now prepare the deed of novation and the deed of transfer for that matter, and that will be done by their lawyers, not by the purchaser's lawyer.
Now, how hard do you guys negotiate some of these terms? Right? For example, the assignment. Um, if people aren't aware, assignment is basically you can replace your name on the contract with someone else's name, usually for a fee, right? That's, that happens in the U.S. Um, I have worked with some people that were interested in maybe flipping the property before they even take possession of it. So they would need to be able to assign it. Or really, this could be any clause in there. Um, what's your guys' approach to negotiating with the developers on language in the contracts, especially to a certain client's need, depending on what they're worried about or not worried about?
So the approach is twofold. One, some clients have no problem paying off the purchase price before the actual completion period, which is fine, and then they can now proceed to sell it to a third party, so long as they notify the vendor, which is not the developer, and they always say that consent will not be unreasonably withheld. That's the always confirmation that they give. Alternatively, some also developers or rather vendors would allow you to assign it to a third party without even you completing the purchase price. However, they will always tell you that consent is granted by them. One, two, there'll be an administrative fee for that legal process, where it's them who will oversee that process. So it can be those two ways that we usually solve that.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Like Pandora, for example, they're 3 years out, and all the two bedrooms have already been booked, which means that there's still demand to purchase them at probably a higher cost than what people have been booking them for. So if someone wanted to liquidate their position, it would be beneficial for them to have the ability to assign the contract. So that's where I was going with that.
Investors are different. Some would come for commercial purposes, some would come for residential purposes. So, and
Yeah, but
the
if
developers
you
also know
could,
that.
if it, I mean, sometimes the number just gets big where you're like, well, if they're gonna give me 4 million for just this piece of paper or a couple million, I mean, the prices are can be quite significant. It seems like.
It's a good investment, but of course it has its own sides of it. And if you have good professionals who can help you negotiate, of course, you can get it done.
And then I think the force majeure clause, which I see in a lot of these. You explain it, but I have a specific question.
Okay. So you see, force majeure actually is very broad. People think it's just act of God. Act of God is one of the components of force majeure. We have a lot of issues with force majeure. Lockouts, strikes, pandemics, floods. All these things. Changes in legislations.
This all gives
Industry.
the seller the right to
Anything which is beyond their control,
not
humanly controlled.
deliver on time.
Yeah,
Or
because
at
you
all.
see, well, the issue of them not delivering at all, that is debatable. But of course, force majeure clauses are bound to delay the contract because of things which are beyond their control. So maybe let's say there's a regime change, okay, and this regime change affects the project directly because there's a new legislation which was passed for them to comply on certain issues. Of course, they'll be bound to extend the period. Maybe there's natural disasters, or maybe there's another wave of COVID again.
Right.
So we are bound to accept and live with those changes.
So I was wondering. So just let me paint the picture for the audience so they better understand. There's a clause in for force majeure which gives them the right to delay for certain purposes, but the language in there is very broad. like act of God or, like you said, maybe regime change or some type of language like that. What have the Kenyan courts, if any of these cases have gone before them, what is their general disposition towards an act of God, or what, like, in practice, what does this look like? Obviously, COVID, no one could predict. You're not even allowed to work, maybe, so that seems obvious. But maybe some areas where it's a gray area, where it seems like an out that they could use very frequently if they wanted to, like supply chain issues. Like, what does that mean? Like, does the supplier from China go out of, I don't know. So, like, what do you know of any cases that are in these gray areas with this, where developers were able to use that clause to delay or even,
On a
change
light
what they're delivering?
on a light note, let me just say this: we've had people explore those excuses, especially when the war between Ukraine and Russia broke out. And the economy was doing so poorly at the time, and the government's excuses were, oh, it's not our fault, the grains and the import duty and everything else went just high because of the war in Ukraine, Russia, blah blah. And every time a citizen tries to, hold the government to account, they'll always be answered Ukraine, Russia war.
Oh, interesting.
So, with respect to this issues making to the courts of law, it's quite common. But you see, what the courts will be constricted to look at is the actual agreement itself, and of course, courts are also alive to our day-to-day activities and livelihood. After all, the judges are human beings, so they'll look at the situation on the ground, see whether whatever this party is alleging, indeed, whether it holds any water, and see whether it's just a form of deviation or over reliance on that clause just to defeat the very essence of the transaction, or whether it's something that is, in actual sense, the truth and the reality on the ground.
Okay. Couple more sections I want to get to. I want to cover sectional titles and the corporations create it for them. Super important. And then purchasing with companies, trusts, etc., benefits, downsides. So let's start with, and then we'll try to get to some questions and then we'll be done. So, just give us a rundown of, I know you did a little bit already, but sectional titles, the law was done in 2020, 2018, the new one?
No, it was done in 2020. So it's called the
Okay.
Sectional Properties Act of
Yeah.
2020. Initially, before that, we had the Sectional Properties Act of 1987. So between 87 and 2020, we used to use that law. From 2020, we then decided to adopt the Sectional Properties Act, which in essence is now what we have, the sectional titles. And we also have the sectional plans. The plans are the ones which give birth to the titles. Okay. What is this law? So this law is a law whereby all properties which were under the leasehold regime, and the mother title was a lease, and we had the subleases, they were all called to transition to the sectional plans. Okay. For you, what is now sectional title? A sectional title is the equivalent to what we used to have back then, what we call the sublease. Okay, so sublease was a time when we had the mother title, and then the mother title was fragmented to form individual subleases based on those properties. But now, with it, you realize those subleases fall under the mother title. So that was dangerous, because sometimes the developers at the time would go to a bank, acquire a loan, but now they will never inform the unit owners that there's a pending loan. after
Oh.
the construction is done. Now, if the bank comes, it comes for the mother title. And remember, the mother title has given birth to subleases, so all of you are affected. But right now, that story is not there, because what happens is at the time of registration of the sectional plans, they collapse the mother title. The registry of the mother title is closed down, and each unit will be given an individual sectional plan, and a different file will be opened, which now generates the sectional title. So you are not, if you want to acquire a mortgage or a loan based on your unit, you don't need the approval of the developer, as opposed to the initial regime, whereby if you want to go get a loan, because you see it's pegged on the mother title, he has to consent. Now you're all on your own, and sectional title is good. It gives you some leeway, it gives you some, freedom to, dispose your property at any time of your choice. There's no third party involved, and it has its own registry. And then the good thing is that the common areas, which you often hear, the common areas will also be given a title on its own. But you see, you will be a share owner of that common area. So each unit owner becomes a small fraction owner of the common area titled. So we have a section title for the common area, and now, but all your names are listed there based on the fraction which you'll be owning of the common area.
Abdi, bring the camera down a little bit, just because the clips are going to look crazy with your.
Okay, is that okay?
Your forehead in there. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
So
I was a bit far.
Let me try to summarize in my basic way, and you tell me if I'm right. So when it starts, there's the mother title, and then it's basically broken into all the sectional titles for each of the owners, and then they have their equal share and right. So if I own 4 properties, then I would have 4 rights because they form a corporation, which we would call like a homeowners association, and then those people govern the property thereafter. But there still is a master title that does like the leasehold renewal and such, right?
Mm-hmm. So I see the corporation is also a new phenomenon, because it replaced what we call the management company. Mm-hmm. So initially we used to have the management company, but now under the new law we have the corporation, which more or less operate the same. But the corporation, of course, is nothing without the unit owners. So the unit owners are the share owners of that corporation. So 1 unit equals 1 share. So if you own 1 unit, you become 1 shareholder. And then it's upon you guys now to appoint a board. Funny enough, I'll tell you something. There's this agreement I was also reviewing the other day, and what the developer was alluding at is that we can have a situation whereby we will have the developer continue being what he wanted was, he will form a corporation, but he will oversee the operations of the corporation until it's up and running. That's now a concern to me. Why? Because what usually happens is these developers sometimes are very crooked. They will never let go of the corporation. So you collect service charge as individual unit owners under the name the corporation, but they actually manage it. So they pay the security personnel, they pay the hygiene and the cleaning team. So 1 or 2 salaries here and there. So the rest of the money, which ideally should be going to the corporation account, goes into their personal pockets.
Yeah,
which is dangerous now.
I feel like one of my properties is in this situation because they have not turned the management over to the sectional title owners, because they keep saying that not enough people have received their sectional title, although it's been almost a year, but I don't have my sectional title done either. So I don't know what to make of that, but I assume because the developers' people are still managing very poorly of this particular property. And I'm like, where's the money really going? And they take a deposit. They took like 3 months deposit.
Quite common. Yeah, very common.
But they still want you to pay on the first month that you take possession. So where's the deposit at?
So they go 3 months deposit, 3 months advance. So they make sure they rip you off.
Yes. And
Yes.
they're doing a really bad job of managing the property. How do we oust them? That's been like
You need
my
to
thing.
have a meeting yourselves as the unit owners. You need to create a platform whereby you can come once in a while and you know, pull yourselves together and appoint a board. The board now would be the one managing the management company of the corporation for the meantime, as you appoint permanent members to those, roles.
Right.
But what you need to do is first and foremost transfer every services they're offering to the corporation. Uh, Let the corporation run those services and roles, not them anymore.
Now, are there companies? So the board, could the board hire a management company to run
Yes,
the property? Because that's what a lot of boards do here is that they will hire a company
because
that is designed to do so.
absolutely, we have a lot of management companies like Nine Frank, Dunhill, Val. There are a number of them. They're good at managing properties,
Oh,
and some even go to the extent of even helping you let out your apartment for rental purposes at a management fee. So
oh,
so the good thing about them is that they're very professional. They do the job. Because the unit owners, some of them are very professional. That they're so busy, and most of them are foreigners, and they go back to their native countries, so they might not always be available for such meetings, crucial, important decision-making
right.
meetings. And they cannot be there on a day-to-day basis to manage the affairs. So they rather appoint a management company with a reputable name to do that on their behalf for a fee.
Is that true that they cannot hand over the management until enough owners have taken possession of their sectional titles?
Now
Is that a
that's not true.
oh,
What can happen is, what sometimes they do is they would want to form the corporation when everyone's name is on the file. That helps because you see now, can you imagine if you form the corporation and this project has, let's say, 100 owners, 100 unit buyers, and you have only so far gathered 60. So anytime you buy those, you sell those 40, you'll have to do changes here and there. Bring a
oh,
new
okay.
person in, bring a new person in, it's a long administrative process which they're trying to avoid. So they would rather have you guys get to a certain number and then start it off.
So that's a legitimate thing that they're saying then is that they want
From
enough
from
people to have the
from
title.
an administrative point of view, yes,
Okay.
but the concept of them running with the show without being accountable to anyone itself is also another problem. They
I
should be
see.
accountable to the existing members. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess over there. They don't do nothing. Okay, well, that's interesting. I'm learning. I'm glad we were guys. For you guys owners, the funny thing is, many of you guys are like booking units and haven't closed on them, right? But when you close on them, and then the longevity of your property is very much dependent on the management and upkeep of the property. So you become a custodian of your property once you get that sectional title. So it's really important to take an active role and know what's going on and making sure there's a good management company in there that I've been seeing. Because if you have bad management, people are going to start wanting to move out of the property. The trash don't get picked up. The security ain't good. It can cause a lot of problems. Uh, Dr. Deca, I feel like the developer should still be responsible to make whole the buyers, even in cases of act of God. Shouldn't the developer have insurance for such issues? But also, even in force majeure, they're supposed to be able to give you your money back. Usually, in the language, right?
Yeah. If the delay persists and it's interpreted to be that it's no longer viable, of course, they will have a payment plan back to you. But of course, what they always try to do is one funny part about uh, purchasing of plan projects is that walking in is easy, walking out is hard.
Right.
Yeah, that's the
Especially
trick.
the
It's
money
very
ain't there.
yeah. Because you
But
see, when you're paying, they make the ground very smooth for you. Everything is seamless. But when you want to move out because of a default or on your part or their part, it becomes a messy divorce.
Sticky, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys get any of their insurance information? Are there insurance requirements? Is that part of the due diligence?
You see what happens is insurance applies especially to structural defects and structural problems with respect to the construction, okay, but not specifically to acts of God, because how can you insure something that it's very, very hard, because even insurance companies themselves would not want to insure instances which are generally like a pandemic. How would you insure against a
Right.
pandemic?
Plus, it creates a
Or
moral hazard. Maybe they want to burn it down.
yeah. So and then when you have these structural issue problems, insurance always checks in.
Okay.
But the insurance policy runs out the moment you purchasers get to have the corporation in place. So the
Okay.
corporation should take out an insurance on its own
I see.
and stop relying on the other insurance of.
Oh boy, this is a good one. This is the handover is my thing. What is acceptable delay in handing over the purchased property and a development before entering in some form of legal battle? Is 3 months acceptable? 6 months? Actually, can I just say, when I read their completion date doesn't mean anything because they give themselves. Well, actually, it says something along the lines of they may give a date or when they get the certificate of occupation or whatever you guys call it there. But
Certificate of occupation,
yes,
and
if the
practical
property is not
completion.
completed, they're not going to get that.
Yes.
So then the completion date clause means nothing?
No, it does. It does. What I try to do is I try to divide it into two elements. I look at it from two different ways. One is I don't prefer using completion date. I prefer using what you call the practical completion of the project. Now, for me, I rather have the structure up and complete. When I know it's been completed December 31st, 2025, and the structure, the building is complete in itself, then getting the certificate of occupation from the authorities is not hard. It's usually 2 to 4 weeks. All they do is they come and inspect. Yeah, they come and inspect for human habitation. Of course, with facilitation. You have to facilitate. They'll show
better
up
than us. Man, a
Yeah,
permit it'd take forever.
yeah, they'll show up the next morning, and
if you facilitate it.
Yeah, and you issue and they will issue the certificate of completion, the certificate of occupation, the same week.
Okay.
If you continue facilitating, that is.
Understood. The question is, what's an acceptable delay in handing over before you should be what's customary, like a delay?
6 months. They usually give themselves a long stop period of 6 months.
Okay.
A long stop period of 6 months.
But should you start doing something before that? Say 3 months come in, do you send them a demand letter or something, or what's the?
No. You see, they will try to. Sometimes they would indicate in the agreement that they would, after completion, they would require a 6 months long stop period just to do finishing and there, just to get the property up and running. And some agreement would actually go for but what they're trying to do is, and this is why you always need a lawyer when you're reviewing this agreement. The same agreement that I mentioned earlier, whereby you have 3 types of notices. Terrible, you have the negotiating notice period. You know very well the vendor is in default, but they still want you to negotiate with them for a period of 30 days. One, if the negotiation fail, you have to issue them a termination notice for another 30 days. I'm like, excuse me, how many notices are we dealing with here? You very well know you're in default. Why don't you just fix the mess and let's proceed? So you realize those notice periods they can easily run to 90 days, 3 months. And now those 3 months coupled with another 3 to 6 months when they're supposed to repay you back your money. And that's why I tell you, walking in is easy, walking out is hard. So they'll make sure they drag you by the mud for 6 to 9 months. Hold on to your money until it loses value, it depreciates.
Question. Many, see, I understand for the contract to have some language about materials that they may change some of the materials based on availability and pricing. But I feel uncomfortable that they could have a wide breadth of ability to, you look at these renders and then the language in the contract gives them a lot of outs to change things, even layouts and such. What's your guys' perspective on that?
Well, I always try, with respect to the layout, I always try to have the floor plan attached.
Okay.
I need to know what my client is purchasing, the measurements of each unit. I need to get it right. So the floor plan has to form part of the sales agreement as an annexure. With respect to the materials and the modifications and the variations that they always speak about, yes. So sometimes that clause also is addressed indirectly through the force majeure clause, whereby they say in the event there are materials or lack of materials, we will try to replace with similar quality and do work like a workman-like shape, a good quality work, which can reflect on based on what they had earlier showed you at the time before you made, because usually they always take you to the building structure, the 3D. They try to explain the materials they'll use, among other things. So it's formed like it binds them. If it's not workman-like shape or of similar quality, it's a form of a warranty. So you can hold that them to account. It's a warranty. They are literally giving you a warranty that we undertake to give you similar quality. Some clients, of course, would have problems whereby we have specific clients who need certain variations done. Some would want to move the closet from a specific wall to another wall. They are flexible to that. Some would tell you, okay, fine, we can do that for you, of course, at an extra fee, because we have to adjust the structural design for that particular unit.
Well, what happens if I think the kitchen's going to look like this and then it doesn't look like that? Like the material, like the type
You
of
rely on the
cabinets and
showroom. You see, they have a showroom. So the showroom.
But not till later.
Sorry?
Not till later. The showroom might be a year from when you booked it.
The structural designs is a question which is very critical, because if it's of poor quality, of course, you can have legal redress. But anything to do with minor changes, minor defects, they usually have the defect liability period, which is 6 months, which can be addressed. And speaking of the defect liability period, one of the biggest challenges most purchasers mistakes they usually do is they end up counting the defect liability period at the time of completion. I will not have it that way. I would count the period from the time of handover. So when I literally move in, let the 6 months start counting from that date, not at the period of completion, because between the period of completion and the actual handover, at the time when they want to acquire the certificate of occupation, it might take them a month or two. So that's -2. So you literally only get 4 months to fix any problems you might have, Yeah.
Yeah, I did notice that in the contract. I'm like, oh, this is from completion, not when I'm doing handover. Can a Kenyan who is an American citizen buy property? If so, is special. Well, anyone can buy property technically, right?
I can take this, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, we're not clear from Philly, a Kenyan who's an American. So does it mean that he has, or that Philly has a Kenyan ID or not? Presuming they have a Kenyan ID, yes, they can purchase property. It would be very simple to purchase property, in which case we would advise that they purchase property with their Kenyan nationality, just for ease of transfer. And also, in the event the property is freehold, they would still retain the property in freehold as a Kenyan citizen. If they are straight up an American citizen, they can still purchase a property. There are absolutely no special documents required. In most of these things, the requirements are the same, either as a foreigner or as a local. You just need a KRA PIN, which is a tax PIN, similar to your social security number. And you would similarly need your passport if you're not local, and your address. So there's no special rules or regulations that apply to you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Martin Invest, thank you for doing
Yes.
this. Thanks, Martin.
Lovely to see Martin.
Yay,
Lovely to see you,
yeah.
Martin.
And Haley was joking with you earlier. They seen you globe-trotting Franklin. So.
Lovely to hear from you also, Haley.
But a member as well. And
Yes.
Dr. Deca, how can I be reassured that the building inspectors and regulators who inspect the building are actually qualified? I was wondering the same. Would we know the inspectors are and their licenses? And are they facilitated?
They come from the government. So all we know is these are government employees who are licensed to operate and provide the inspection report.
What's your real view? Like, are they really doing a good job of inspecting this stuff? And are these buildings safe is really the question.
Yeah, of course, yes, because you see what happens is the fact that they are facilitated does not necessarily mean they overlook the entire project in its entirety.
Okay.
Maybe there's one or two issues to do with, I would say, ventilation problems.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll point that out and have the developer address that. But in generally speaking, you see, for them, they're only coming to check if that property is fit for human habitation.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah, but anything else should be built. And then something else you might be missing is that if the building is not, or that project is not completed or built in the manner in which it was indicated that it would be done, and then the buyers or the individual purchasers can actually have legal recourse against
Right.
That developer for breach of contract.
I think we hear about things like bad Chinese cement or bad concrete mix and things like that. That could be scary. Do we know if they test that stuff? Because it may not manifest until later that the concrete mix they did was bad, or certain things like that. I don't know, like, how in depth or how reasonable is that concern?
It's a
based off
concern
of the Kenyan system.
It's a concern, of course, but you see, at the end of the day, the project is also insured.
Yeah,
So
well,
there's an
if the building falls down while we're in it and we all perish, that don't matter. I think that's really where the concern is coming from. It's like, is this safe? Does the Kenyan system ensure the safety of these buildings where you can be confident that, yes, there may be a ventilation thing or something like that, but is the structure safe?
I think those are, I would say, it's more of a question on the surveyors, the physical planners, the quantity surveyors. So we put those questions to those professionals who would certify, because you see, they need to file a report to satisfy that indeed this particular project has met the required threshold for it to be granted a certificate
Would
of
you trust the
completion.
validity of those reports?
At the face value, yes, unless there's contrary opinion to the same.
Okay.
If we don't trust each other in the industry, I mean, how will we do business? It's very
I
hard.
agree. I'm asking the questions because I know this is something that people, you know, in someone's mind, oh, the developer just pays the guy to sign off on it, right? And then now we don't know if it's safe or not. That's where the
Yeah,
questions are coming from.
yeah, but
Because we don't know, you know.
of course, but the good thing is we haven't had any projects collapse.
Right. That's good
Uh,
evidence, right?
yeah, yeah. So far, nothing is pointing to that direction.
Right, because there was Hong Kong, one of them buildings had a fire or something, and people were worried about that. Which they had a low death toll for a big building like that. So I don't know. Okay, last thing. Yes, Franklin does look like LaShawn McCoy, especially in this video. Like he got the same head. Anyway, last thing is.
Yes, you're right. You're right. You're right, Ryan. Especially if I take off my glasses, I look a lot like him. You're right.
Taking possession of the property in the legal structure, whether it's trust or company, pluses and minuses, ways that people should be thinking about this.
I think Franklin can address that. It's field.
Sean McCoy.
Yeah. So just let me note that down again. Just give me the scope again.
Just talking about different entities that probably is best practices for individuals to take possession of the property.
Okay, so I can think of three kind of ways you could hold the property, and the thing is that either of them is correct. There is no wrong option. It just really depends with the scenario and the situation that the client finds themselves. And these three usually are to hold the property in your individual name, to hold the property in a company, or in other cases to hold it in, say, a trust or you know, something like that. Now, and the determinant as to how to hold the property would usually depend on your use of the property and what are your main things that you want to address. For example, if you want to address the issue of estate security, for example, if you pass on, if you want to address the issue of legal liability, if you want to address, for example, you want to use a property for commercial purposes, like to have them in an Airbnb or a serviced apartment, those would best be owned in a company setup. Okay, so the general rule is that if you want to use it for commercial purposes or to make money, the best route would be to have them in a company. On the other hand, if you want to just simply buy and live in the property yourself, then the best option would be to own it in your individual name. So you just want to buy and live there. There is no income coming in, that no one will use that property, so you don't expect any liability or any exposure. You can have it in your own individual name. In some cases, and depending on the country, sometimes we have cases where clients are concerned about their anonymity. Okay, so they don't want people to know that they own the property, or in some cases, depending on the countries, they also don't want their governments to know that they bought or own some property. In this case, you could still use a company, or you could have the property registered in a trust. Okay, so technically all options are acceptable and correct. The only difference really is what is the ultimate use of the property. So when you come to us, usually we would have a discussion with you to understand what is your vision over the property, what is it that you want to achieve in the long term, and then it would help you structure what is best option for you.
Okay. Yes. That's a pretty good rundown of that.
Lastly, Ryan, we also have cases where you say you want to buy a property as partners, and we're actually working on some examples like this now. So imagine you have 3 or 4 partners. We would usually structure for you the appropriate vehicle to own the property. In some cases, it is an easy, let's imagine it's 4 owners, it's 25% contribution. So you see that is an easy arrangement. In some cases, it's unequal. So we'd also still help you, if it is in a company, to reflect that inequality in terms of ownership over the property.
Well, that's the annoying issue that I ran into with my first property is I was buying with someone and they've never been to Kenya. Now I got to get their KRA pin and all that kind of stuff. When if you just make a company, it seems a little bit easier
Yes,
to
yes.
operate that versus now a whole another individual needs a bunch of legal stuff going on. So that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Taxation.
then,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, no taxation in a company, then additional corporation tax, how much? So Max, the taxation in a limited liability company, let me I'll talk
I
about
think
two
he's
main taxes for
asking
purposes.
the comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the purpose of this discussion, obviously there are so many tax applicable, but I'll just talk about two that I think would be relevant. So generally speaking, limited liability companies which are similar to, I think that'd be similar to S corps in the US. Okay.
Well, we have limited liability companies.
You do have limited liability companies,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
The difference
So
is a limited liability company has pass-through taxes, so it's not taxed differently than the individual. An S corp would be taxed separately as its own entity, and then the money would come to the individuals.
Yes. So in Kenya, the LTD is equivalent to your S corp.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So usually, so let me use, because I know some of the people watching are Americans and not Americans, but for the Americans, it is equivalent to an S corp. Essentially, what this means is that the company would be taxed at 30% of the net profits. Okay. Now, this is usually very scary for most people because imagine, does it mean 30% of any money coming to the company is taxed? Absolutely not. The proviso is 30% of the net profits. So this means two things. First, there must be a profit, and then that profit is net of expenses and all those outgoings for the company. So if you made a profit in the company, for example, you would be taxed 30% of whatever profit you made, having less your expenses. Okay. However, in a case where you have income specifically from, say, a property, especially if you have you're receiving rent monthly, if you have the property in a company, the tax applicable would be what is called monthly rental income tax, or MRI. Okay, and MRI is computed at 7.5% of the tax of the gross income of the property as a final tax. So if you're getting paid $1,000 a month, you would simply pay $75 each month as final tax. The only difference is that as a foreigner, you do not pay the $75 monthly. You will pay it at the end of the year, but you still will be required to pay 7.5% of the gross income for the property.
How does someone pay that?
Yeah. So usually we file and we would usually also help clients in this tax filing. So because we usually have a relationship with them, we'd understand what is their investment and how much they're supposed to pay. So most of the technical work we do for the client. So that should not be a problem. What the client needs to understand usually would be that it is done once a year. So for example, all income between January to December of 2025 will be filed no later than June of 2026. Okay, so you'll always file taxes for this year before June of the following year, and we'll usually do that for you. Okay. Also, to answer Mark's question as to whether there is any, is there any additional incorporation tax? No, there is no additional incorporation tax. You only pay for incorporation at the beginning, and there is no additional incorporation tax. Okay. And how much? No, there is no recurrent tax except if you're making an income.
Okay. Trusts. Yes. Oh, and you talked about it, anonymity.
Yes, anonymity. Yeah.
It helps with taxes in the U.S. because
it also helps. Yes.
Trust.
Yes, it also helps.
Does the trust get taxed on the Kenyan side?
No, it doesn't. It also gives you some. It gives you some.
So why do you like to do the company versus the trust?
Because the thing about trust is that you lose control. Yeah,
You need a trustee and
yeah,
all that. It
you
could
need a
be
trustee, exactly. So
problematic.
that's what I was saying. It is a trade-off. You really have to see what is, what is your best matrix. If you don't care about control, you can put it in the trust. But if you want to have control, then
I
put it in
see.
the trust. It's a
Yeah,
lot more.
yeah,
And then
that's a good reason.
and then trust is highly regulated as well. So when
Yes, yes.
you're registering a trust, is a very technical process because on suspicions of money laundering and terrorism financing, so people use trust to abuse certain elements,
Mm.
as opposed to a limited liability company, the LLC. Because when you're registering the trust, it has to go the beneficiaries, the settlor. So they might go to the NIS, that's the intelligence, just to vet, just to see who they
Yeah.
are, so that
Oh.
yeah, because we have instances where people register trust, but in actual sense they carry on businesses. They're foundational trust. People, instances where people are not supposed to be making profits, but they do profits and engage in other illicit businesses.
Right.
So the rate is always high.
Max said, I presume you can put the company in the trust, usually minimum of 2 trustees. See, but now you have a very complex thing.
Yeah, he
Yes,
needs to get in touch so that
Yeah.
we
yeah.
can work out the metrics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
actually,
yeah.
guys, like optimizing these things, you got to talk to somebody. Like this is made for you to like when you have those conversations so that you can be informed to have a really good conversation. But being in the right structure is really important and can save a lot of money or headaches. So it's well worth it to set up your structures properly in the beginning because even me, until I found you guys, I'm just doing my own thing, and now I'm having to restructure some of the stuff. So it's a pay, like
Yeah.
I still don't have the sectional title of my first property, and this is, I took handover was in February,
Mm.
so
Yeah. Rana, I want to say that the tagline of FKC is just start legally, and it's
yeah.
super important but also to start legally. I'll just give you one final example of a project that completely flopped. There's a project in Nairobi that was called the Pinnacle. The Pinnacle was poised to be the tallest building in Africa. Okay, it was actually supposed to be 300 meters tall. This is almost half of the Burj Khalifa, so really, really tall.
Oh.
And after months and months and months, the project collapsed. This was in 2021. People had bought that property. A lot of people had bought the property. And can you imagine one of the reasons why it failed is because there was a legal suit pertaining to a portion of the land that they were building. There was a legal dispute. See? Now, and this was after months, because if you want to go 300 meters high, you have to really, really drill. So they put some millions of dollars drilling, and then the project just died 5 years
They
ago.
did. Yeah, that's right. You were telling me this
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
They put a big hole in the
yeah,
ground.
exactly. And then there was a legal suit. So I think, this is just to say that it is good to do these investments, but to get it right from the very beginning, just to avoid these simple things, because it is a thread that sinks ships. Very small thing.
I was supposed to put this in the beginning of the video, but Pandora finished their show house,
Yes.
and that thing looks nice.
Yes.
So I don't know, guys, check it out. I'm actually a bit surprised. I can't wait to go check it out because they were a very ambitious developer, and it seems like they're delivering. So I don't know. I liked it so far, but I think that covers everything. Sorry about the technical issues, everybody. I'll get it together. I'll get out of Facebook jail. Make sure I click the right audio in the beginning, and we'll make sure we got the echoes sorted out for next time. What do we want to talk about next time? Because I know I wanted to maybe the top 10 issues that you guys are working on with people, maybe inform. I don't know. Hopefully people can comment. I don't know what your guys' ideas are, if you have anything that jumps out at you on what we can talk about. People really seem to get a lot of value out of this. And again, coming full circle, my goal especially is to start help building bridges so that people can do whatever it is that they want to do, whether it's real estate or business, charity, whatever you got, whatever somebody wants to do, at least you can be linked up with the right people so that when you don't get frustrated bumping into the wrong people. And if whatever you want to execute, it'll actually get done the way that you want to execute it. For me, is the most important thing for people. You know, what you choose to do is what you choose to do. So, yeah. Any ideas on topics, guys? A little brainstorm.
Yeah, I'm
No?
actually very
Okay.
curious to know what guys would want us to talk about.
Okay. I think we covered pretty good. Pretty good. Anything else? I I feel like we still need more review about Ghana, but we've been going long, so I'm fine. And Rwanda and
Yes,
all
yes,
that.
yes,
But
yes, yes, yes.
I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah. I'll say in closing, Ryan, Rwanda was very good. It's extremely developed, really, really beautiful. I felt it was too good to be true, you know, but
Oh,
it was beautiful. Ghana is, to be honest, I think it is, what is the word?
overrated.
Um, yeah, exactly, overrated. It is overrated. Yeah, fortunately. I'm thinking to maybe pass by briefly a very interesting country. This is Burkina Faso.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Do you know Burkina Faso of Ibrahim Traore? So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, let's talk about it. We can talk about it at another time.
Okay.
There are also some really good insights about real estate development in Ghana. There are a good number of American people who have bought properties here. In our next discussion, we can talk about what I think has been the experience in real estate in
Okay.
Ghana.
Let me just warn you
Yeah.
in advance. If you get detained by the president of Burkina Faso, please don't call me.
We can't help you.
Yes.
No, I think, I think he's a good guy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Ah,
gonna.
yes,
I'm interested in Ethiopia, and then
yes.
Botswana's interesting.
Yeah, I've also been to, I've
Zim.
been to Ethiopia, I've been to Ethiopia, I've been to Botswana, I've been to Zimbabwe.
He's been everywhere.
All, yeah, I'm the wandering lawyer.
Very
So yeah,
worldly.
yeah. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, Rwanda, and
Rwanda,
also I'll talk about
please.
Rwanda as well. Rwanda is quite beautiful. Yeah.
You guys
The
got
only
to go
problem,
follow.
yeah, you just follow. Yeah, follow. I share those stories on Instagram. The only
Is this the
the
same
only
right here?
yeah, this is me. Yes, exactly. It's
Oh, okay.
across all channels. The only problem with Rwanda as an investor is that there are a lot of limitations as to the amount of investments you can do as a foreigner in Rwanda.
Yeah.
And then the law is a bit reserved. I mean, it's good for the locals, but not very good for you as a foreign investor.
So, as someone that travels a lot, do you has that given you appreciation of Kenya? Because I feel like a lot of Kenyans that
Yes.
haven't been places complain a lot about Kenya. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like Kenya
Yeah.
is up
Yeah.
there.
To be honest, Ryan, I have been to so many, especially I've been to many countries, but I've been to also so many African countries. Ultimately, Kenya is the best in many ways. You know, the weather is amazing, the people are friendly. The only problem we have in Kenya is sometimes just our politicians. You know, but apart from
Mm.
that, many things work very well in Kenya. Kenya is also very friendly to foreign investors. So it's honestly a good place. And being in Ghana now, I can't wait to go back to Kenya and just buy my bananas in peace. I have not eaten a banana since I came here because I haven't even seen a banana. So yeah, I love Kenya ultimately. And to answer Deca, we actually have clients in some of these countries. We have clients in Rwanda, we have clients in Tanzania, we have clients in Ghana. So sometimes, yeah, when I'm in these countries, we make a point to meet some of the clients that we have here. And also, when we come here, for example, because we also make partnerships. So Dr. Deca, for example, if you ever came to Ghana, just reach out to us. we'll be very happy to introduce you to someone here in Ghana to help. Yeah, I've also been to Ethiopia, and we have people that we work with there, including lawyers and law firms.
He's like, oh man, that thing is
This
crazy.
one about Somalia and scamming, I will leave it to Abdi.
I ain't touching that one. Oh, that's crazy what's going on. Woo. Sorry, Abdi. I can't, I didn't. I don't know what's going on.
I think it should be left to the Americans. The Americans will get
Yeah.
I can only speak of Kenya and what's happening over here.
Yeah, it's some crazy stuff going on. I don't know. You can hire a PE or CE structural or civil engineer to check construction quality. Yeah, but that's kind of crazy having to hire somebody to go test the concrete yourself. But yeah, I get you. Oh, one more question. I'm sorry. I'm holding you guys on here. I'm having too much fun. I have a question. Could you use existing Kenyan properties to acquire another offline, off-plan development through a developer, not a bank?
Yeah, I saw this question. Could you use Kenya properties to acquire another offline development projects through? So I think, and I think this could be Musa, I suspect. I'm guessing he's meaning, can you use it to finance the purchase of
But I
another
guess
property?
direct to the developer. Maybe you give the developer.
Yes. I'm presuming. Yeah. So I think this would be very difficult because most developers
they're not trying to get
want
involved.
they're not in the lending business, so they would really want finances. However, if you set up your operations in a company and then you're receiving rent from some property and direct them to a bank, after a few months, any bank in Kenya would be very happy to give you a loan to buy the next property based on the strength of the rental income from this other property. So a bank can do it, but it's very difficult for a developer to do it because developers are generally not in the business of lending.
Right. Nigeria. Next to Ghana, anyways. Oh.
I've also been to Nigeria. I have my thoughts. That is a wild world. Yeah.
Austin Hallman says the cost of business, visa, or permit in Kenya can be higher than the cost of starting a business. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting a work permit and all that, for sure.
The reason for this this is levied is you see, the government is trying to preserve local jobs for local Kenyans. Okay, you can imagine if they made them cheap, would have foreigners coming and opening up small kiosks and barber shops and small businesses. So they try to create the threshold very high so that, for example, if you're paying, because for example, if you're getting a business visa, like a work permit, an investor's permit, it would cost you up to $6,000. If you're willing to pay $6,000, it would mean that you're doing a certain level of business. You wouldn't do a barber shop or go and sell potatoes and pay $6,000. So essentially, it's a government scheme to try and secure jobs for the locals.
I didn't think about it that way. That's good.
Yeah.
Makes me feel better about that.
Actually, it's a good thing so that the US is even worse because Trump made it $100,000 extremely expensive. So that this means that very, very high professionals would come and work there, and other local jobs would be done by Americans. It's similar in Kenya, so it's really not a bad thing.
Smart. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't mind contributing whatever I'm supposed to anyway, so that's good. All right, guys, don't want to hold you forever. Good stuff. Thank you so much. Hopefully the clips are improving as usual, so hopefully these reach the right people and help people avoid the pitfalls and problems. And to the clipper, please take out all the that guys, because a couple of people were asking, oh, why do you have the live and then the long form? But see, for this we'll have that whole thing cut out for people so they don't have to bear us going, can you hear me, for like 30 minutes, right? So thanks for everybody for participating. You guys are part of the show, asking good questions. Lots of really good questions in here. Thank you, Franklin and Abdi, for giving your time. especially on your vacation over there. And
Yes, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's not really a
You see, you
vacation, but yes, thank you.
you see, you see, it's not fair to me because he's 3 hours behind. He's 3 hours behind
Yes.
me.
I know it's late over there. I see. Yeah.
It's
And actually,
11:30 p.m. over here,
Yeah.
and this
Well,
guy
we
is 3 hours behind.
yes, it's 8 p.m. for me, so it's very good. We can do it for the next 3 hours. I'm still good.
yeah, it's only 3 here. So,
Yeah.
oh man, good stuff. Please give us feedback. Let us know what you want to hear about, and appreciate you guys.
And Frank can share the farm's contacts so that they can get in touch.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we put it in here a couple times. It's in the description
Yeah,
as
you can.
well.
You can. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Take a screenshot. Boom.
Thank you so
All right.
much for the amazing session. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
As
do.
always, we are available. Yeah.
I'll be out there in January, so we'll do some more sophisticated stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Please come. We don't have any snow. Just for information, we don't have any snow in Kenya or winter. So please, if you're watching this and you're tired with the cold, Nairobi is just a few hours away.
I see people
Yeah.
outside with the sun shining.
Yeah,
They're
man.
sweating a little bit. I'm like, oh, please, I need that.
Man. Yeah, man. If,
All right, guys.
and Ran, with a little facilitation, we can send you some sun with some
Oh.
facilitation.
I need it. Look, I'm yellow now. I'm losing my color and everything.
For sure.
All right, good stuff. See you guys later. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one.
Thank you very much. Thank you.